sweat is our theme. It's kind of cold down here today, though. So I think we'll be all right.
Oh man. Where's your minis? Give me 2 of them boys.
They're new.
God damn. Yeah. Right. It's gonna work.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Check.
Check?
Yes.
No.
Oh, paper towel.
Oh fuck. I got it.
It's right there on the top shelf on the left.
Hey, you know what? I don't need flip flop for this shit.
Yeah, right there. Just
shit.
open.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Oh.
Costco.
3, 2. Red bin?
Yeah.
Yes.
I made a little mess.
Use your face.
I know. It's because I lack discipline. Here you go.
Yeah. So what, is this just a mystery
We're just gonna
again?
shoot it.
Okay.
It's a hot concoction.
Perfect.
Filled
Cheers.
filled with everything you need to be happy.
Oh. Oh. Boy, what did I put in my body? What was it?
It was a concoction of stuff.
Oh.
Some of it
Did
went,
you make kombucha?
Some of it went into my nose.
Did it?
Oh. I don't know if we're gonna be okay. Oh my god.
Ooh.
I'm not doing that concoction again.
Never?
No. Oh. I don't know
Sorry.
if mine was weird, but
Oh, mine was for sure weird.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
a lot. Good luck.
You too.
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got me. Oh. Hold on 1 second. All right. All right, here we go.
Round 3.
Round 3. Hey,
Here,
we're live.
Dude. Yeah,
And
we're
in
live.
a few days it
Yeah,
won't.
red button, red light, or red light.
It
boom.
won't be live later.
Uh.
But- all right.
Hopefully, it won't take 4, 5 X
Yeah.
days to upload.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Wow.
sweet. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you have the game plan. I had
Great.
things. You had
I got a game plan.
organization.
Okay, so this week we spent some time talking about your tournament prep for D-Glow.
Yeah.
Because you're going to go out there and compete at the D-Glow situation.
Yeah, and if you don't know what D-Glow is, it's Discraft Great Lakes Open
Yes, at
Disc Golf
Toboggan.
Pro Tour event at Toboggan.
Yes.
Yes.
So I played it last year and then decided with my tournament funds this year that it's not the smartest investment for me because I have to go out, shoot 3 really good rounds for me just to make my money back.
Yeah.
And so with the COVID and all that, I was like, we'll hold off. So I decided not to do it. And now I have FOMO. But
FOMO?
yeah, fear of missing out.
Oh.
I just feel so jealous now that everybody's like, yeah, I'm getting ready for D-Glow. And I'm like, I made my peace with this months ago. It's fine. But I was going to caddy for Will. And
Okay.
then they shut down caddies.
Yeah.
So now I don't get to be a part of it at all. So,
Did you try applying for the like scorekeeper spotters?
No.
That's way beneath you.
No,
right?
it's just not anything that interests me.
Yeah.
Like, I just started watching disc golf like last year.
I know.
So the idea of spending like a
It's
weekend.
still weird to me that you're watching disc golf because
Yeah.
before I'd try talking to you about it and you're just like,
Ugh,
ugh.
too busy throwing.
I know.
Yeah, but no. So the idea of like going out and like walking the hills and doing all that stuff, whatever, just to watch people play disc golf. Yeah, it's still out of my realm.
Yeah.
Maybe like a couple more joints fail,
Yeah.
I'll be out there.
Yeah.
You know, like braces on, like, oh my god, back in my day.
Neck bracelet.
Yeah, just everything, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy in like that works at that bar that Tyler Durden goes to see, and he's like, "You gave me this," and he shows him like, "That'll be me." Shows him his hand all burned up. All right, yeah. So I wanted
Yeah.
to talk to you, kind of like the whole time today. I had a whole concept in my head that I really wanted to get into.
Yeah.
That I really respect you specifically about the way that you go about playing courses and the way that like mentally you put it together. I think it's something that you're strong at, and I think it's something that like you really have to offer versus other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not just gassing you up because we're on this podcast.
Yeah.
But like, I honestly believe
No,
that.
I appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah. So I think like we're going to use toboggan as an example because it's what you're doing this week. But I just kind of wanted to more go through the process of like, obviously everyone plays disc golf differently, right? Some people throw very similar games to other people.
Yeah.
When you're watching disc golf, you know, like I forget, I watched a tournament from forever ago and everyone's like teeing off on the first hole. I think it was like Memorial. And like everyone throws a real similar shot. And then Feldberg comes up and throws like a hyzer flip. Everyone else just like bombed out a straight hyzer.
Yeah.
And Feldberg threw a hyzer flip, right? Because that's more of
His
game. And then like you watch his holes go on and whatever. So your game is specifically much different than my game. You have a different skill set. You have different strengths. You have different attributes as a disc golfer, so you attack things differently. But we both go through the same process, and I think every disc golfer that's really looking to compete goes through the same process of how do I want to attack the course? And then furthermore, like how do I want to attack each hole? So when you're going through that process, what, like let's just take a hole, whatever hole it's going to be. What are you looking at in that hole? Like I know this week you did it differently than you've ever done it before in terms of like taking out a laser, shooting distances backwards, like looking at it like much more involved and much more like comprehensive. But basically in your mind when you're going into, I'm going to break this hole down and look at like how I want to do it. What are you looking for? Like what's your first thought process? And then how much of a game plan are you actually putting together and how much are you leaving it for when you're playing the hole?
So when I step up to like a hole, it's how far is it? Does it look reachable? Like my first gut instinct is like, can I get it there? It's like, oh, like it looks like I can get there, or maybe I can, or whatever. And if it doesn't look like I can get there, I'm gonna like try my damnedest or something.
Right.
Unless it's like Monster on Monster Course at Hudson, like no one is getting it there in one. But
yeah, or if you're playing Leviathan or something, like there's a bunch of those holes that like you're just not.
Yeah, even still, it's like looking at distance. It's looking at the gap, or like if there is even a gap. So if like it's a tunnel shot or wide open, whatever, what's the par of it, and like can I birdie it really? So like if we go to toboggan, because that's the most important to me right now. It's like hole 1 is it's 477, and it's 450 to the first, so like when you're facing it, there's the 3 feather flags out there. The flag that's the furthest left is 450 to there ish. So that gives me a good idea of like, because that's where I'm aiming. And if I get it there on the one disc that I'm throwing, then I know I can get relatively close to it. But I'm realistically, as you've said in the past, the first hole, you give yourself like that one stroke leniency because of like first throw of the round for a big tournament, so on and so forth. And that hole has, for this tournament, OB on the left side. Yeah. And so like your bailout thing is like you have to be sure to stay in bounds. So that's a tough hole to get unless you have a really nice sidearm that is like a big sidearm, or you're a lefty that can throw. Like, I mean, with the elevation change, I'd say like legitimately like 420-ish or so worth of power.
Yeah.
I've settled for like taking par. Like if I can get close to putt, I'm for sure going for that putt.
Right.
But every time I'm going to be throwing the same shot every time, like unless there's a crazy headwind or whatever. So that's kind of like how I've broken down that hole out of X amount of times that I've played it. I've played this course for years now or whatever. Right. Like this year alone, like double-digit times I've been out there, excluding like this week alone.
So you think your primary thing that you're looking at on that hole, one, you know that you have the distance to get it there.
Yes.
But what's going to trump that then is going to be major risk.
Yes.
Right? Like the number one thing that you're looking at on that hole is what you do not want to do.
Yes.
You're thinking like, I have a whole bunch of acceptable realities over here. Yes.
Yes.
Over here, no.
Yeah, correct.
Right. So in that circumstance, like after your initial thought process of can I get there, because there is that OB and because it is starting your tournament, you don't want to start your tournament with your first throw costing you a penalty stroke.
Yeah.
You're really lining up that first shot for like, I want to make sure I land safely in bounds. If it works out, sweet, and I can run it, I'm going to. If not, I know I'm going to take a 3 and move on.
For sure. Yeah.
It's tight.
Yeah. So I mean, that's basically it, because it's now that risk reward, whatever, that I'm sure you've heard many times over and other people have heard many times over. The risk of going more for it brings in more play of throwing a shot I'm not the most comfortable with. That being like, I know I can get there more so with a mid, like if you want to, I throw Mercy, which is a putter that is very flippy. I recently lost yellow, which is sad. I lost yellow.
No.
But
Yes.
I have perfect identity. Like,
Right.
it's just a different color. It's orange Mercy or whatever. It does exactly the same thing. So I trust that I throw that flat and basically level out and just have it ride right. But if I throw faster, like Buzz or something, I know I have a flippy Buzz that'll do it. But the faster you go with discs, the quicker it does the dump roll. So if you go straight out and it dumps right, now you're getting like cut roll crazy territory.
Right.
So that is like automatically like no good. My sidearm is like, I have one and it's like touch and go. Right now it's feeling really good.
Right,
You've seen
you're not gonna,
very bad.
You're not going to start the fucking pro disc golf tour event with like, my sidearm actually works. Let's fucking let's bank this whole event on it.
Yeah, totally.
Just
So
Uncle Rico it out there.
Yeah,
to get your
definitely
tournament
not.
going? No,
Yeah, definitely not. So yeah, and that goes again with shot selection too, is like comfortability. So if you broke down that hole, if you were 100% on your sidearm and 100% on your backhand, and you had same distance, like 450, say, sidearm on that hole every time, no question.
Right.
But my comfortability lies heavily on my backhand, so sidearm is iffy.
Right.
So that's more reserved for shorter holes, somewhere where like I shine better, where it's like, this is all I have. Like, I know I can get it there, and it's as soon as it's like, this just is a sidearm shot, then that's when I can fully commit. But it's, if I can work a backhand, like I'm pretty good at turnovers, whatever, like I'm more so reaching for something along those lines, because no matter like how good you are one way or the other, sidearm or backhand, that is, you're still more, like, I think, no matter who you are.
Predominantly X.
Yeah, even if it's by 1%, whatever, you're still more that. So like over the practice and times I've played that hole, it's just been broken down to like, if I just somehow get a good shot off and it glides just right and the wind's like good enough for it, whatever, and I land like edge of circle or something, like I get it there with that putter edge of circle more ish times than not, but that relies more so on how much more am I going to give it outwards and height wise or whatever, versus like I can be safer, which is basically throwing a little lower, same angle, and just the only thing I really have to make sure besides throwing it flat is hitting it. If I don't hit it, it's iffy. But if I do hit it, and that's like, there's no reason I shouldn't hit my shot on there, because it's like, there's no reason not to, because there's just the trees like on the right side. So that's, long story short, how I've broken down that hole, and that's similar how I've broken down all the other holes that I've played thus far there.
So let's look at a different hole. Same, we'll just stick to that course. So like, if you're looking at a different hole that has more options, right? Because like hole one is very straightforward. I think like, you don't want to be out of bounds. You have to throw your shot, because if you don't, it's going to veer out. You don't want to overcut it and then end up cut rolling or over to the right past those trees. I've done that a few times. It's gonna get over to the right no matter what, you know. And then like, I can't even see the basket. But so like, let's say like hole number 4, right? So hole number 4 I've seen played one way a whole bunch, and then I've also seen it played like a couple of other ways. So when you walk up to hole 4 and you're there and you're like walking through it, what's your process for figuring out like which disc you're gonna throw and like what you're actually shooting for and how you're gonna execute it?
So, like you said earlier, like my process has been brought more in, and a lot of it is literally using a rangefinder and seeing where, like,
they are legal.
Sure.
I've been carrying one for like 4 years, and everybody gives me shit. And this year I'm like, Bushnell like supports the tour. They're a sponsor.
So I went out and I wanted to measure like all the where I'm trying to go to, and I have like this number in my head. And every time I've tried matching that number with the reality of that number, it's like way off. But also, I mean, there's variables and whatever that, like at height, like toboggan is not flat. So hole 4 specifically, it's I think like 465 or something like that. It's not super long, but it's like a iffy par 4. I personally think it was a better hole like years ago for Amnats, when it was the short pad to the basket brought shorter as a par 3, because it was a difficult par 3 that was gettable. So anyways, now it's a par 4. It's 483. So now it's like, can I get the no? I don't, if you can get there, like I don't, you're the 0.1 percentile
Right.
of disc golfers. So now it's a 2-shot hole automatically. So
Even that overhang though on the tee pad, like even if you had that elite distance,
yeah,
I think that like just those little shitty branches there,
Yeah,
like
so
to
the-
get it up and out.
yeah,
Yeah,
and the
like-
only other way to get there is like crazy like flat hyzer up over the trees or something. That's what, like 600 worth of power
Yeah.
minimum or something.
Yeah.
Like, so anyway, so now it's down into 2 shots. So it's trying to figure out where I wanted to go, and where I used to go, as of like very recently, was trying to get past that first Christmas tree.
Right.
When I lasered that first Christmas tree, it's like 265 or something like that to there, which I was like, wow, because I thought that was
Are
like,
you serious?
yes, I'm serious.
God, I'm a pussy.
So yeah, that first tree is significantly shorter than I thought,
Yeah.
but not like by much. I thought it was like 310, 320 or something.
I live in a world where I was thinking it was like 440, and I just
Yeah.
was like bombing past it.
Oh, killing that
Ate my
shit.
Wheaties
Yeah.
today. Ladies, you watching this?
Yeah. So there's like really a couple initial ways you can do it. You can try, like, the way I've seen the most that I've also played is trying to throw flat to the right side of that tree. So
Yes.
you have the first Christmas tree, then you have the other Christmas tree a little past it to the right, shoot up high and get lucky through the trees.
Right.
And get past the tree line that's like kind of like this crescent shape,
Yep.
whatever here.
You land right in the sweet spot, and you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can take the luck out of it, which is what I'm going to do for the tournament, is I'm going to throw at that first Christmas tree up above it, just on a hyzer.
Yeah.
And I'm landing this side of that tree line.
Yes.
Because pretty much anywhere there from that area is
way better shot up to the basket.
yes, that and roughly it's like 225 from there to the basket. And you have multiple windows, and from there it's like, well, if I have a sidearm, like I'm comfortable throwing a sidearm up there. If I have a backhand, I'm comfortable throwing a backhand, hitting these gaps, instead of bringing all this risky crap into play,
Yeah.
where it's like, crap, I didn't get through the tree, or like I hit the iron leaf that
Right.
I've heard
Now
so
what am I
many
doing?
stories about.
Right.
So that's how I've broken down that shot, and then like from there it's basically just a putter upshot, maybe mid-range, depending on just kind of where I'm at, and that's my comfortability factor. And I'm shooting for birdie, like I'm expecting to birdie that hole, or at least I'm expecting to give myself the opportunity to birdie that
Yeah.
hole. Like I can't, like I would like to make the putt, obviously, but I would expect that all 3 rounds I'm going to be within 40 feet, say,
Right.
putting for 3.
And wherever, if you cut short of that pine tree, if you go over that pine tree on the left, depending how tight you are on that row of trees, sometimes you can run it.
Yeah.
Like I've been over there, like I did that earlier in the year, where I was like, fuck this shot on the outside, right? Because like you do have like that cut in thing, and I kept like catching a branch or whatever it is, or like one time I pimped it right where I wanted it to be, and then I was still like, I don't like this shot.
Yeah.
I don't like the upshot from here.
Yeah.
So then I started cutting inside that pine tree, being over to the left, where I'm farther from the basket, but all of a sudden I have options.
Mm-hmm.
And then the one time I was standing, I was like, dude, I can run this.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, wouldn't that be crazy to get a 2 on
Yeah.
hole 4?
That'd
you
be
can,
phenomenal.
But you can do it. It's
Yeah.
not like, I think when you cut over and you're a little bit farther off those trees and you got plenty of angles, like there's enough that you can work like a shot up there with not a ton of heat. And if you miss
Yeah.
it, at least you got like, 20-foot putt, no problem. Take the 3.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think there's room for improvement on that whole design just initially, but
Yeah.
as it stands now, like that's how I see it. That's how I think is the most consistent way to play it. So really the touchiest shot, like the tee shot should be very robotic for
Yeah.
most of
Mindless.
these guys.
Yeah, it's like a mindless
It's
shot.
the second shot where it's like, where are you landing? Are you on the short side of the tree line? Or are you the far side of the tree line? Because if you're short, obviously you have to hit this gap. If you're on the far side, it's easier because you don't have to hit that tree line gap. You just have to hit this
Tunnel.
pretty wide open tunnel to
Right.
it and just hit like the top face of it. So you can just like pop and sit right there
Right.
for easy 3.
So then my question would be, in that situation, the way that I've seen other people do it is on a flex. So coming out of off the tee pad a little bit on a flex higher in the air,
Yeah.
and coming around the pine tree that way and then fading out over there. So in your approach, like if I throw that shot, I throw just the hyzer shot, but I've seen plenty of people throw the anhyzer kind of
Off
out
the
of
tee,
it.
you're saying?
Off the tee with
Yeah.
something stable.
Yeah.
Rip it out and to the same effect, basically.
Yeah.
So why do you, in that situation, when you're like, I'm going to throw the high hyzer versus like throwing like a flex shot?
Hyzer is your most consistent shot.
Okay.
So I think that the people, well, okay. if you don't have the comfortability or the power to do just like pure hyzer, because that's the one you can control the most.
Right. And it's going to do the least when it hits the ground.
Yes.
Yes.
So you don't have to mess around with like flippy, this, that, whatever. It's like I throw PD2.
Yeah.
PD2 is like you can get distance out of it, but it's very predictable in the sense is like as soon as it starts slowing down, it's going to the ground.
Yeah.
If you're going for flex, I've thrown the flex a couple of times and it's worked out like pretty good, but to the same effect of like going flat hyzer and trying to beat the right side trees. You're essentially doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But on top of it, off the tee, there's a couple of those trees that aren't immediately like there in your shot, but there's one branch on the farthest one that comes down where it's like if you hit that, you're
totally
so far back. Like you're playing to like, I hope I for this.
Right.
Like, because you're throwing a tee shot again, essentially, but now you're kind of in like a weird limbo of like,
things you
do I get past or like, am I still going to this like short spot where now I have to hit this gap, but I'm hitting this gap for 3 instead of 2.
Right.
And I don't know. So like, I tried it a couple times and I was like, I don't like it. I know Turner likes throwing it and whatever, and that's on him. But for me, I think it's like, if you can throw like a 350 like spike hyzer thing, then do that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get the most consistent results and there's the least in the way, because where you're throwing it, it's wide open.
Yeah.
And then as long as you're throwing it high enough, you're going over the thing that you're going to hit.
Right.
So,
all right. So in that one, let's say you're looking for basically the easiest way to get to a placement with an upshot that you're comfortable with.
mm-hmm.
So then, like you said, then it makes your tee shot kind of like mindlessly robotic.
Yeah.
Because you're just doing something that like you can replicate every time, and it's putting you in the position that you want to be in for your next shot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because the most important part is the second shot.
Yeah.
By far.
So in that hole, when you're looking at it, you're like, all right, second shot is going to be the one that makes or breaks the hole. So you just want to set up from that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then what about, let's say you're doing, we talked about this on the phone yesterday, but like what about hole 5? So hole 5, I think when people play the course, when I play the course, is one of the shots that like fucks up my game plan. Because I know the hole in my mind and I know what I'm trying to do. And then for some reason, when I'm on the tee pad, I just get locked into the idea of hitting the gap.
Yeah.
And it's not hard to hit that gap. But all of a sudden, like, because I don't know if it's like because it's closer to me and then it's kind of like a shadow where the trees are behind it, or if it's because it's uphill, or I have no idea. But I know where I'm trying to hit the line, and instead, like,
what if there's like a ghostly remnant of like, I know the basket used to be like here.
Yeah.
Because it is a different pin location, same tee pad. So when I went there and all the times that I've played it, I know that like every time I end up not turning it enough.
Yeah.
And it's a tricky hole. I like it. I wish it was like more of a straighter shot and like navigate those trees, but whatever. This is what we have. So when I went to this hole, I lasered it to following this path up to the right. You have the tree that's immediately off the tee that you're trying to go around. Mm-hmm. And then there's a tree behind that at the top of the hill where you're trying to go through. So I lasered that.
Yeah.
And that's like 160 or so.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that's a good like reference point, and I'm able to know like what tree I'm trying to be like left or right of.
Right.
Turns out I want to be left of it. So there's this weird gap that's kind of straight, but not really. You're trying to throw straight with something stable so it can turn. So after I lasered that, kind of was like, okay, so here's that distance.
Wait, what you just said, you said, so you want to throw something straight that's stable so it will turn.
I'm sorry. So I have this Opto Mercy that is a straight stable. Like stable means straight to me in my head.
Yeah.
Overstable is like trying to go left, understable trying to go right.
But you're also talking in putter.
Yeah, I'm also talking in putter.
Okay.
So after I lasered this hole, I went up there to get like I took pictures of the reverse angles. And this was something that like Macbeth talked about a while ago, was like just looking at your reverse angle. And I've noticed it like before he was saying it and whatever, but like an afterthought. And then he said that, and again, like years ago when Jared was still around. So I took pictures of like kind of where I'm trying to throw to or through, so I can reference that in the like the reverse angle. So
yeah, I've gotten a couple holes like that.
Yeah.
Where like I'll play it during warm up or something, then look backward and I'm like,
it looks way different sometimes.
Like that, all you got to do is hit that gap and you're there.
Yes.
And everybody else is like trying to muscle like some weird oddity. And you're like, yeah, if you could look at that backwards, like this shot's really easy.
Yeah. So I did that. And so I was standing at the tree where I'm trying to navigate, and I'm just looking back, and it's like, okay, so it's a very like steep turn, and it's immediate.
Yeah.
So I normally throw a putter on that tee, and when I was throwing that, I was getting like a little too inside, or I was going a little too straight. So I grabbed mid ranges. Maybe I want something a little faster. These were like the first thing. So I had like a stable buzz, understable buzz, stable putter, understable putter.
So are you trying to hit a line?
Yes.
Like at that point for that hole,
Yeah.
you specifically like see a line.
Yes.
And you're like, this is the line.
Yes.
And now you're going to throw shots to figure out which disc can most comfortably
Yes.
replicate that line for you.
Yes. So
this is working out great. We've
Yeah,
done
yeah,
three
yeah.
different holes.
I
And
know.
three
I know.
different approaches.
Yeah, it's great. So I was doing that. So I normally throw that stable putter, like
Yeah.
straight stable putter, and it normally works out. But I'm trying to like get closer or whatever. Maybe it still is that putter. Maybe it's something a little flippier. Maybe it's stable faster,
Right.
like buzz or whatever. So I throw all these shots, and I throw all four. I go up there and I see where they're at, and most of the time, unless I get like some crazy kick, I got two really bad kicks that bounced off the tree and went way left, like down the hill or whatever, which is just
Gonna
unfortunate.
happen.
Yeah.
Right.
But other than that, even when I got all the other kicks or like I just came up short, it's a really easy up and down. And if not, like I can run this. Like I got a pretty decent long putt sometimes, and there's a good back drop and everything,
That's
so
what I was
you
gonna say.
can.
That
run
hole's a
it.
pretty good run at hole anyways. 'Cause
Yeah.
There's not a lot of risk.
Yeah. So I found out quickly that flippy, at least for me, is not the way to go. I was thinking, as I was walking down, I did, I think, 8 rounds of this, of like throwing 4 shots, coming back, or like going up, seeing where they ended up,
Yeah.
seeing what I had to work with, look back at it, go back down, throw 4, kind of like after I adjust, maybe I want a little bit of this or that. And as I was coming down one time, I was like, maybe I want flippy, but I want to throw it flat and have it turn right, because I have yet to be too far right on that hole.
Yeah.
Even
It's crazy.
Yeah, even the times where it's like that's definitely going to be like at the pin, and I go up there and it's not.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking immediately like I'm gonna throw this one mercy that flat and have it turn like real tight, and then when I got to the tee pad, I was like, that's definitely not, like automatically it's like this is not the putter, or
Yeah.
this is not the disc for this shot, because it's an immediate turn. So
So what happened? You just didn't get anywhere near the pin? 'Cause
It,
would
it
just-
was always too inside, or I ended up getting it too overcooked, like to the right, and it would like hit a tree
Right.
like short.
right. You're
So-
nowhere near the pin then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it wasn't even worth it. So that immediately was like definitely not this. And then I had Flippy Buzz, and that was also like an immediate like shot after that. I was like, this is just not it.
Right.
Like
you keep
it's,
catching those trees.
yeah. So like you can be too far right on that hole.
you're just not
but
going to end up too far right.
yeah,
Right.
but well.
Because
Kind of.
too far right's going to cut you short because you're going to hit those trees.
Yeah. So like you'll be right, but you're gonna be like super short, where you still like it's right and then just like straight basically. So after like the 5th round of throwing these shots, I go back to that gap and I'm just like, okay, so stable. It's either this buzz or it's this putter.
Yeah.
It's one of these two. Like, what the fuck's it gonna be? And I go back there and like I look at the shot that I'm trying to throw, this gap that I'm trying to hit on like this angle. Like this is coming out of my hand at this angle.
Yeah.
And see what it gets me. So I did 4 rounds of that with those 2 discs.
Yeah.
And out of those 4 times, putter was in the same spot, literally probably within like 3 disc lengths apart from each one. So it was like 3 disc lengths closer, further this way, like short or something, but it was all right there, and it's like 20 feet.
Yeah.
And then the buzz was like kind of ish the same,
Right.
but I didn't feel so comfortable kind of disking up on this shot, because I feel like I can throw putter with relative ease, like not having to fucking oomph it to
Right.
get up there. So it's hitting this gap on this angle, and it's as soon as it gets there, it's already like flattening out and then just riding up there.
Right.
And so where that's landing is like this, like I have 3 opportunities for putting, so I should be birding this like more times than not, I would hope, unless I have like some crazy putting fiasco or something. Like
Right.
I'm giving myself opportunities instead of not.
Right.
So as soon as I did that, the last time, it was literally 4 shots in a row with that putter. I was like, this is just what I'm throwing. Unless there's some crazy wind, that'll be the only time that I'll throw like a mid-range up there.
Yeah.
But you don't really get too much wind in there because it's blocked by a lot of trees. So
Cool.
yeah.
So then the next hole that I was thinking of in terms of it being a little bit of a different process, and then we'll come back to some holes that we're skipping over and stuff.
Yeah,
because I'm interested in like this process.
Yeah.
And it's cool to listen to like how you approach it and how your like brain looks at it. I do a similar thing. It's a little bit different, but
yeah.
So the one that we talked about the most yesterday, and the one that I like that really got me excited to talk today about it, was when we were talking about hole 10.
Okay.
Right, because hole 10, I think, is like the hardest tee shot, you know, like of all the holes. I think that on toboggan, as far as like technical shots, it's the hardest one. You're not trying to hit a gap at an angle, well, you are, but like it's not like a true like off the tee. Like, it's not like 7 where you're like, I'm gonna hit, you know what I mean?
100 feet out, you have to hit something and still try to
right.
crest and all this, whatever.
Right. So, and there's like, you know, a million different ways to play that hole. Obviously, like if you ever go play with a group, it's very rare that like 4 people are throwing the same shot or the same speed disc or this, you know what I mean? Like there's so many different ways to look at it. And so when you approach that hole, not just what you did yesterday, but let's say in the totality of times that you've played that hole, where did you start in your mind? And then after you went through your whole process yesterday and really like dissected distances and all this other shit, where did it lead you to? And then what was your process like through that? Right? Because like the first time I ever played that hole, I just threw it straight because I was like, I'm not fucking with that turn. I don't want to hit these trees and get stuck there. And I looked at like, it's an easy 3.
Yeah.
If I just go straight and then play a little hyzer up that ravine or whatever and land on the flat, I can just put it in for 3. And I don't need to like show everybody my dick and try to like make this crazy. And this is like 5 years ago. You know, I don't have to throw this crazy Anheuser that I know I don't have.
Yeah.
And then I tried different things, but when it always counted, like I told you, like last year I threw thumbers off that and just landed right there at the bottom of the ravine, straight putter up, took a 3, call it a day. But you are playing with
different tools.
With different tools than I am, mostly because your arms are so long and your hands are big. But but so what was it? When you first looked at that shot, you were thinking like, I'm going to throw X, and this is how it's going to happen. And then now your like refined vision is what, and how did it go?
Honestly, I've thrown that hole the same for the most part. When I first played toboggan, I already had like, I've developed distance and like control and whatever. And I wish I could remember like my earliest like rounds or whatever, or like who I played it with and all that. Like I remember going and playing with Jared and practicing for AmNats, and I wish I had like more dissective skills like I do now than versus then. But either way, hole 10 is a longer pin position than it used to be. So it used to be shorter than that, or of that gully.
Yeah.
And when I learned how to play that hole, it was a mid-range that was flippy, and you'd throw it flat up above that same tree where you're trying to go, and you're having it stall and just fall right.
Yeah.
So that's essentially the same shot what we're doing here, but instead of it kind of going like up and out on this little arc and then just going 90 degrees to the right, you're throwing this like kind of crazy swooping. It's like up and then like falling this way type thing is kind of how I see it in my head.
Yeah.
So the shot selection, or the shot itself, has basically been the same. I've tried throwing like sidearms and whatever, but I've known like I don't have like a big sidearm. Like I have like a workable sidearm. Sometimes I have extra distance or whatever, but I don't spend a whole lot of time trying to maximize distance with it versus.
And that's a big sidearm.
Yeah, that's a big sidearm.
To get it that high.
Yeah, because of the carry and the angle and the height that you have to hit. Like maybe Eagle can probably do it, and like Tristan Tanner or something.
Yeah.
And even still, like looking at that shot, it looks so hard because eventually it's gonna stall. Like at least that's how it looks like in my head. It's gonna stall and it's just gonna fall short and be in a weird spot. Versus a backhand turnover, it's gonna like glide out. Or if you're like a lefty backhand, you have more of that kind of floaty angle.
Yeah.
So that's like the best way I can kind of describe it. So I mean, I could
Makes
be
sense to
totally
me.
wrong for like somebody else, but for me, that's just how it works. So it's always been that high arcing turnover, and then it became the long position. So now it's like, all right, it's it's on the other side of that gully, but it's essentially the same shot. It's a little more up the hill, so faster disc. I'm just going to do the same thing but faster.
Right.
And I've messed around. Like in practice, like casual rounds practice, like I throw the shot, fuck, like one more, and then like 5, 6, 7 discs later, it's like, okay, I've two'd it before, but I've never really kind of like broken it down to what it is I actually want.
You don't see the line in your head when you're standing at the tee pad.
I see the line.
You see the line.
I see the line. It's matching the disc to that line. Like what disc is going to like, I'm thinking of a disc, and your body's like, I'm not going to tell you yet though. You have to find out yourself.
Your dad probably already knows.
Yeah.
Your dad figured out that hole in like 86. Yeah.
So I see the line. I'm pretty good at envisioning the line and then figuring out. I just have to throw discs. I have to throw them on angles just like anybody else, I think. And so when I was doing that yesterday, I did that 10, 12, 13, maybe 15-ish rounds of like just throwing 5 discs, going and getting them, coming back, like revise, try it again, revise, try it again, revise, and whatever. And then from tee pad to that corner is 255, 257 or something like that.
Yeah.
And again, like basing it off of like what I can throw elsewhere and how far I can do it, it's like shit. Like I know I can throw an FD like 400 something, like hole 3 at Stony is what, like 405 or whatever. And like I can park it there with ease ish. Like I feel really comfortable throwing that distance, that disc on that, whatever. So that being said, I feel like I can do something with this. Like, let's see what I can just do with this, knowing this information, and then go from there.
Yeah.
So now with that, I threw that a couple times. I was a little inside. I was a little too high. Angles like a little off. And then I had a couple where they made total sense. So I was aiming at, so you have the gap that's faced this way. You have the trees that you're trying to avoid here. And then you have the bush straight ahead that you don't want to be in or short of.
Yeah.
I aim high of that. And then I try to put it on again, like a really steep Anheuser angle, and then just hit it. Just make sure to hit it hard and try to have it ride out. So I did that a couple times with the FD, and I felt really good about it. So like right now I'm sitting eat still today. If the wind's good for it, I'm probably going to throw that disc maybe. But then eventually it came to a point of what's more consistent for me, which was D2s. So like D2s are like your destroyer-esque type disc. And I have 3 of them. I have one that's pretty stable. That's like straight. I can get it to do whatever. Like if I throw it flat, I'm not going to get it to flip over. If I put it on angle and hit it, it's going to ride out type thing.
Yeah.
And then I have 2 other flippy ones that pretty much no matter what, I can get them to turn over. They're not going to like dump roll unless I put them on an angle, like starting on an Anheuser and whatever. So I thought those were going to be my answer based off of like FD shot. And I had one good throw with the flippy one, and it just was kind of a fluke is what I chalked it up to be, because the rest of them were just too fast. And to get them to not flip like that, I had to put them more on a hyzer, and I just didn't trust that, because if I don't hit that just right. It's super fucked. Right. It's the second shot is going to be difficult and not even like close to where you want to be consistently. Right. So
that hill's good for fucking you up too on up shots.
Oh yeah. So that short tree that you want to miss, I've hit more times than not in all those rounds. Yeah. And then eventually I was just like, all right, orange, like D2. I probably threw it like a couple of times just to like mess around. I was like, okay, maybe this is like actually it. Cause I found this hit. I got like a really good whatever off the tee because I was getting frustrated with these shots. And I'm like, at one point I was like, I'm not hitting my disc, like hitting meaning I'm actually getting my power into the disc. So I did a couple of those, and then another round of like too much flippy D2s, grabbed orange D2, and I'm just like, I'm going to hit this on this angle again, up high where that FD is, but just a little more angle, a little higher because it's a faster disc. What happens? And the first shot was like circle's edge. It's like, oh, sweet. Yeah. Like maybe this is it. So I grabbed everything, and I already knew like the flippy D2s, no good, put them in the bag. Like FD, that D2, and I think a D1. And D1, a little too overstable for that type of shot, not super comfortable with it. And that D2, like I did it again, is like boom, like circle's edge. And then FD was just kind of like whatever. So go back again, and it was like 2 to make it true type deal. Like let's see how many times in a row can I kind of do this to really like solidify it to this is it. Like, this is me giving myself opportunity to birdie this hole, because my thought process is I want to two this hole.
Yeah.
It's not an easy one, but like that's what I'm trying to do.
Right. That'll make the difference between a good round and a great round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got like all my discs and whatever, and I put everything back, and it was just that yellow FD and that orange D2. And I think it was like the fourth round of doing it, and it's like FD is like maybe in like a good wind and I'm really feeling it or something like that. And even still, it's like the most opportunity I'm going to give myself, at least based on all this information that I've done already, is that orange D2 is just going to be it.
Right.
It's nice, stable, put it up like almost roller line-y and hit it above that tree. And then as soon as it's up there again, it's like immediately kind of stalling out or like flattening out, but it's still like falling right. So like it essentially it should just like land flat, smacking the hill. And more times than not, I'm circle's edge or just outside that circle, whatever you want to call it, where that tree's at there.
Yeah.
Or like just right and in front of it, where it's like if I'm here every time, I'm running that putt. I don't care, because it's right there. I'm comfortable with doing whatever. So
I get so nervous running putts on that hole. I've had so many rollaways.
It's tough.
That hole, like every time, and I haven't had a putt at it many times, but like every time I have the putt, I leave it short.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the few holes that like I'm just like, oh, because I've had like the putt for the three from like 15 feet and just dink it a little bit because it's a little uphill, and then have it roll all the way down the hill.
I know. And on that hole, like when I'm putting that from low, like I legit am putting at the band, and I'm trying to putt like over it.
Yeah.
Because all the other times, like I'm aiming like really high, I'm thinking, and I end up like catching the nub or like the front of the cage
or like just getting it in, and you're like,
yeah. So like all the times I've made it, I'm aiming significantly
like
above
into
it.
the chains.
Yeah. So that's that's kind of how I've dissected that.
So that hole and the way that you talked about it yesterday, and definitely the way that you talked about it today, kind of brought to mind like the whole concept of this. So the way that you look at what discs you're going to throw, and when you're trying to solve that puzzle of what's the line and what's the disc I'm going to use to hit that line, that is different to each person, right? Yeah. Like I think when you get to elite, everybody has a similar skill set. There's still a variance in what people choose and like all that stuff, right? So I think then when you get to like less than elite, there's a bigger variance, and everybody throws like different. People's bags are set up differently. People use different shots and all that. So when you're talking about like, just from me, from when I first started playing versus how I throw now, when I see like a big up to the right shot, it's going to take my brain a long time to hit it. Like I should throw something that's kind of stable.
Yeah.
Right. And then when you're fucking with like speed, like, well, this is going to be too fast or this is going to be too slow. At what point did you kind of like grab onto that idea of like throwing something to the right isn't always going to be just throwing a flippy disc that's going to go to the right? Like when you first started throwing backhands, you didn't know anything about how frisbees actually fly when you're ripping them. And then at some point you kind of develop a knowledge of like how all this stuff goes. But I think there's a big difference between people that are out there like throwing shots and the people that are out there throwing really consistent, difficult shots. And I think a lot of that comes down to like that understanding and that concept of like, I'm going to throw this disc because it's the best disc for that shot and the safest line to continue to try to repeat. And that would be something that's stable. You know, like we talked about yesterday, like you don't want to just throw something up that's going to flip and hopefully it gets over there because it can cut into that tree on the right. Yeah. It can hit and then roll, you know, like whatever.
No opportunity to glide.
Yeah. No opportunity for glide. Yeah. So like, when you're working angles and speed and all that, and you're going for like different distances, can you just explain a little bit of like why, like when you throw something long, right? Like when I play with you, you're like, I'm going to throw a hyzer flip. You're going to throw something that's like definitely more stable, and you're going to throw it, you know, up a little bit higher, a little bit going to the right and all that. So when you're putting together a shot selection, like how did you get to the point of choosing the disc that you choose?
Well,
like were you just rolling everything else over?
I mean, going back to what you were saying with how did you know that you can get overstable disc to work right, goes back to Big Ruben. Yeah. Because I watched him do it on back at Zilker. We found a Tsunami, which is like an old mold version of a Predator. Yeah. So like still like it's a slower-ish, overstable disc. And he threw it on this hole that's uphill. It's hole 4 on the south course at Zilker, I'm pretty sure. and he goes way high, way outside. Like there's a freeway that's over here. He threw it like at that freeway, super high on this angle, and it just went up their road and just like came over. And I was like, what the shit?
Right.
Like, and that was like immediately like, oh, so like you can get like these discs to do things, because the guy who showed me the game had like a pretty good knowledge at stuff, but like doing something like that wasn't, I don't think was ever anything that he could relay to me,
Right.
because I'm not sure like he knew that was a thing, and also that wasn't in his skill set, I don't think.
Yeah.
So when that happened, that was pretty early on, and then there was a couple other people that could do that as well. So I think that was somewhat like quickly-ish ingrained in me, where it's like you can do that, and it's gonna, here's what it does when you put it on that angle, it's gonna fight out, and here's when you take a flippy disc, like it doesn't get the chance to glide. So I think I'm grateful in some sense where it's like I would learn
Big
that
Ruben has
early
contributed
on. Yeah,
so much to your success.
so much.
It's a giant man
Yeah.
throwing out gems.
Yeah. So like if we want to take 17 at Toboggan, for example,
Yep.
I'm trying to get to the tree that's straight out.
Right.
And-
The tree.
Yeah, the tree.
Where you're trying to get.
Yeah, so it's like
You're not the only person trying to get there.
it's like 460 or something, or maybe a little longer. I don't know.
It's got to be more than 460.
Maybe.
Yeah, because you got
Yeah.
the downhill.
I don't know. I got like a iffy rangefinder from
Yeah.
Dan. I don't know. Like there might be variances or whatever. Like it's still a long shot.
Yeah.
Still.
Just the amount of time that the disc is in the air before it lands at that tree
Yeah.
would lead me to believe it's
It's
more
longer
than
than-
460.
Yeah, because even still, it's like, so if it's 460 and
Yeah.
it's slightly downhill, I should be able to get like FD there based off of hole 3 at Stony.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I could get FD there, like
No.
close.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it just for the hex or something.
Yeah.
tomorrow,
And not
but-
consistently.
Yeah,
Right. Like
exactly.
you might be able to.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
wind.
Going from there, like I'm trying to get to that tree. I know it's a long ways. I know I'm trying, like I have to fully commit on something like this. Now it's based pretty much on wind.
Yeah.
What kind of wind am I working with? Is it pure headwind? Is it like head left to right? So it's like coming in at this angle on me, or like right to left, pure tailwind. So like anywhere on the clock. So if it's pretty much any kind of headwind, I'm throwing something that has stability. So it's like that orange D1, D2, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm throwing at that tree, like straight at it, kind of high, and I'm turning it. Like I'm putting it on an anhyzer
In
because
your hand.
in my hand. Yeah,
It's
so
leaving on
it's
a
leaving
flex.
my hand on a turn.
Yeah.
And I'm banking on the fact that it's going to just flatten out and like hyzer out. Hopefully it doesn't like I hit it so it doesn't do it super early.
Right.
But that's what I'm banking on, because
No.
obviously if
Yeah.
I'm throwing, like I could throw flippy, and I could throw, but for me to have to do that, I'd have to throw on a hyzer, and I'd have to throw at the OB
Yeah.
just to get it to like turn all the way this way. And really it's like, what am I kind of gaining off of that? It like I'd feel comfortable with a certain type of wind on that. So if it was more left to right, then maybe I can get a little more like distance to
Right,
get
'cause it's
into
gonna
that
hit
placement.
the bottom the whole way.
Yeah.
Right.
But even still, I think it would go like I want something with some beef in it, so I can do basically the same thing, but anhyzer out of my hand, so the wind can push it even more for longer. So it's going to stay anhyzer longer, but it's going to fight its way out instead of give up like the other one would and just like, all right, here I go. Like, yeah.
You're over on that right hill.
Yeah. So that's what I'm shooting for on there, and I feel comfortable throwing stuff with beef in it distance. Like
Yeah.
even say like a PD2, I feel like the right hit, but still like those things are so overstable. Like unless you have one that's kind of worked in, is like, will I hit this good enough to do it? So now it's in between those. You have like flippy D2, you have PD2. Now like right in the middle is like those D1s, D2s that I have.
Yeah.
And I trust those. Like that orange one is like my workworkhorse. Like there was a couple times today
I hate
and
that
yesterday.
disc. I hate it.
Yeah.
I play against you and I see it in the air and I'm like, fuck that thing. And you pull it out and I'm just like,
God damn it.
oh, we were playing cast. You threw that off the hill at cast the one time.
Yeah.
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 And it didn't go well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was pumped.
Yeah.
It just held to the right because like when
Yeah.
you let it go, I was like, God damn it. And then it
Yeah.
just like held right and I was like, all right.
Yeah,
good.
there we go.
There, I got a chance.
Yeah.
I'll lose it on the next hole, but
Yeah.
right now I could try to make one up.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of how I've broken down at least the tee shot on that hole, and
Yeah.
a lot of it's based on wind.
Yeah.
But even unless some crazy circumstance, again, like it's just going to be that disc pretty much no matter what, just because there's that reliability factor. Because I'm not looking to go too far right. If it
Right.
was somewhere where it's like I'm trying to get like as right as possible, and it's like okay to be over there, which it's not. Hence why I'm not throwing too flippy. But if it were, I'd be more prone or more apt to throw the flippier one
Yeah.
and really trust it, because it's like if it goes too far right, it's okay because there's a shot over there.
Right.
But since there's not, and you have like this peninsula because of the OB that's created, now you're more so forced to have to throw, in a way, a more technical shot.
Yeah,
Honestly,
way more technical, yeah.
versus before where it's like you just hammer it however the fuck you want
Yeah.
and hope
Get
for
your
the
huck
best.
face
Yeah.
on and go.
Yeah. And hole 3 they did like, I think, a good job of that. I think they could have did a little better if they made the front face of that hill OB. I think
just
that
like
would
an island OB.
yeah, I think that would create more tension on that hole, because if you like leave it you shouldn't be leaving it short or low
Yeah.
anyways, but if you did, it's like
I'm a champ at ripping my second shot right into that hill. I can fucking do it.
yeah.
Like in my head, I'm like, all right, put this up. And then
Yeah.
for some reason, I'm worried about it turning over. So like right before I go to put it up, I just kind of let it go a little low. And then I'll just face that hill every time.
Yeah.
Not my friend. I got that upshot dialed in from there, though. I can forward
Nailed
that thing
it.
like a boss.
Yeah. Baller.
So in terms of when you're looking at wide open shot, so
Okay.
let's do 13. So you're getting ready to tee off
Yeah.
on 13. It's going to be something. Are you trying to get onto that hill, or you're trying to get to the base of the hill?
Base of the hill.
Right.
For sure.
Right, because the difference in footing doesn't make up for the distance.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's a far shot. I personally hate that tee pad. I think it's retarded.
There's a little divot in there if you look
Yeah.
carefully.
Oh, there is. Yeah.
Or if you
No.
don't look at
No,
all,
there
you
really
can
is a
fall
divot
in
there. I don't know.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a joke, but
I saw you hit it pretty good the
yeah.
last time that we played together. I was like, "Did you hit the hole?" You're like, "Yeah, I hit the hole."
yeah.
So, what is the shape in your head of your shot when you're teeing off on that? Like, I mean, this is what I'm really interested in. Is like, it's wide open. There's nothing in the way.
yeah.
In your head, you see the vision of what is the shape, what are you aiming at, what disc are you throwing, and how is it going to go?
So I actually did this. This was my last hole today.
Yeah.
Like 11 was one that I wanted to get, and is like, as soon as I get this one, I'm going right to 13, because that's the one, like, not so much the first shot, but the second shot I need to figure out, because I was the other day when I was there, I was like, I for sure can 3 this hole.
Yeah.
For sure. I just need to figure out the second shot. So tee shot I have pretty dialed in. This is my tee shot relies a lot on what kind of wind I have now, because now, like, even though it is a wide open shot, you still have like this path that's pretty wide, but you still want to be to the right of the left berm or to the left of the right berm, and
Right. And
anywhere
you also,
in between.
Yeah, and you also want to be where you're going to be able to hit the line for your second shot.
Yeah.
Right.
So I feel real comfortable anywhere, like left, middle, right of anywhere down at the base of the hill. I feel real comfortable. So today when I did it, we had a little bit of a headwind, and I threw a D1, a D2. Like, these are my stable fast discs.
Yep.
And then I threw 2 flippier ones, the 2 flippier D2s, because I can throw on a hyzer
Right.
to get to
Wide
stand up
open.
and ride and do all this stuff. And all 4 shots ended up on the right side at the third flag, and 3 were literally like the same distance, give or take like 5 feet.
Right.
And then there was one just like 20 feet shorter. So when I was throwing all these, I had the idea in my head as I was going to attack this hole based on the other times that I've thrown it, where it's like, all right, I can get a PD2 there. And when I was first trying to do it, I was throwing at the trees that are to the right of the wood sign that are up there.
Yep.
Flat, expecting it, like, I'm throwing it uphill, so it should like hyzer out and like get over there. And every time I throw at the trees and it just stays flat, and then I like hit the tree or I go past the tree or whatever, which is totally fine, because up there is still a long putt, like your circle 2 edge or maybe just outside of circle 2.
Right.
And based on the green, like you can run it. Like there's all this
You
stuff
can
that's
totally run that
yeah.
one,
Like
yeah.
you could probably throw a driver at that for a putt.
Yeah.
Like
And
a full, not a driver, like a drive at
Yeah.
it and be safe
Yeah.
or whatever. But obviously that's not what I want to do. I want to be closer on my second shot. So I threw a couple drives. I threw what I thought I wanted to throw or whatever. So I threw flip your discs on a hyzer at that sign just to kind of see where that would get me, and then flat overstable like PD2s at that sign and see where that would get me.
Yeah.
And as soon as I threw the first PD2, it was a little too turned. I had it go at the trees again, but more on the left side, and it went past, and it was by that path on the right side. So in circle 2, and I was like, okay, so if I can do this, like for sure, all this other stuff. So like everything else just kind of went, whatever. So I
Right.
picked all this stuff up, and I went back down there because I had a much better game plan going into that. So I threw PD2 again first time, and I threw it at the left post of that sign flat.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, like as soon as I threw it and saw like where it was, I was like, yes, that's it. And I threw all the other shots, whatever. But when I got up there, that pink one was 5 feet from the pin.
Yeah.
And then other PD2, second shot, it was the same. It was just a little low. So it like hit the front. So easy up and down. Can't really run from there. That's a pretty long distance. And then I threw orange D2. So like middle stability. I threw it flat, like slight hyzer at that sign. I got same result, but I think is a little iffier
Right.
of a shot.
Like
and
it
then
worked out that time, but you don't want to.
yeah. Like I don't want to bank on that. Like if I were to throw 10 times PD2, 10 times that D2, I think the most consistent would be that PD2 on that line. And that's pretty much like what I got out of that.
Yeah.
And pretty much anywhere that I was there. So, and if I'm left on that fairway, like it's going to be the same shot, slightly modified, but there's my reference point is, so that sign, there's a branch that hangs above that sign that's dead.
Yeah.
I'm just aiming at that because that was the other thing too, is like I'm not getting this high enough because too flat is like too forward, less time for it to do left things. If I get it higher, it gives more airspace for it to go from flat to like just start falling left.
Yeah.
And anywhere like falling left past that sign is in the circle,
Money,
circle's
right.
edge, whatever.
I like to throw it right into the top of the hill. Like every time I'm like, this is the time I'm going to put it up. I'm
Yeah.
going to really put this one up.
Yeah.
And then like I'll let it go. And for the first like couple of seconds, I'm a believer. I'm like, yeah. And then like it flattens out and I'm like, fuck.
Yeah,
man,
it's
how
like
many
it's like
times?
doves like start flying.
Yeah, and
then
then
they
someone
just die.
shoots them. Yeah. Yeah. With
Yeah.
like a grenade.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such an optical illusion because like I put it up and I just throw something flippy on like a crazy hyzer and then get it to flip up and then like I hit the angle. Like I've never have a problem not hitting the angle. Like as it leaves my hand and it stands up, I'm like I'm good, and then it just like goes right into the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Which is frustrating, but I feel good about the angle. I just need to be able to get it up higher and convince myself like reach down lower,
Yeah.
pull it up higher on that throw.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I was doing, and I think I did maybe like 4 or 5 rounds is all it took me to do it. And one of those rounds was like I want to be high,
Yeah.
and this is like where I learned I want to aim at that branch. And the ones before that, I was like, I want to be high, but I know I'm not reaching low enough because
Right.
like I know not to like go up here to like throw high. Like
If
that
I-
makes no
if
sense.
I ever see you reach up in your backswing, I swear to God, I'm gonna fucking lose it. You're never gonna hear the end of it. If I can get a picture of it, I'm gonna give it to Dan and Kyle. And they're gonna have it on their phone.
Yeah.
So here's a question, just technique question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're a valuable resource for this. So in throwing a shot that's gonna go up that high, how are you making sure that the shot is traveling forward and not just going up? Like you're not trying to throw a spike hyzer there.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's you're reaching down low, you're coming up high to put the disc up high, but in no way are you trying to like do like a bloop shot. Like you're trying to like get it up and then have it like fade over.
Yeah.
So in your reach back, pull through, release, like what are you doing mechanically to get it up that high, but also to make sure that it's like going to continue to travel forward instead of just like going up and coming down?
I mean, I think that's the same reason why I throw the PD2 on that is like I'm trying to, as I am on like 9 and 10, make sure like I hit my shot because like that's important for making those shots work.
Yeah.
Is get that hit on the disc. I was talking to Feldberg on the way there, and he like had a pretty good idea of it. Is like sometimes people think you want to throw understable like uphill. Sometimes that's true.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you have PD2, you have like crank SS.
Yeah.
And then in between you have that orange D2 that you love so much and dearly.
Right.
You want that middle of the road high speed disc for forcing it over uphill and letting it kind of do its thing. It's a really hard thing to explain, but that's
why I'm asking.
I know it's so hard. Like I don't know specifically what it is. I just know what works for me and what doesn't work for me. And every time I've tried throwing like flippy up that hill to make it work,
yeah,
it's never worked well enough. Like I can get up the hill, like I was able to prove it to myself, and allegedly from the base of the hill, like the third flag to that sign is 300 feet.
Yeah.
But if that is 300 feet,
according
it's
to
like,
someone's
yeah,
laser.
I don't know. But even still, like I've had the most success basically. Like if I took that shot and threw it on a flat ground,
yeah,
I'm throwing like this crazy forced over shot that would be like a flex shot, like trying to go just as right as possible. But since I'm throwing it, if it was flat ground, but I'm throwing it that high, it's basically just stalling out and coming down, because that's how high that hill is up there. Like in no way would I actually throw that disc on that angle to get basically anywhere on flat ground because of where I'm throwing it and the angle I'm throwing it at.
Right.
So it's kind of throwing an uncomfortable line, because in your head, or at least in mine, it's like, that's not going to work, but let's just fucking try it and see.
Right.
That's what I've been doing this whole time, is like, let's see just what's going to work, because this is the time to do it.
Right.
Not like, let's see if it works. Like first day of declo, we're just going to change it up on everything.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I did it last year.
Yeah. So
I'm going to play the safe shot. I got this.
Yeah.
No, we got this.
Yeah. And it would, like, for me, it's a lot of trial and error. And I've talked about this a lot before, not specifically with you, but specifically with Jared and Fred, of the short pad, like the original, like great hole 13. I think that's the iconic old Discraft video, is
right.
the short pad to the same pin.
Yeah.
And it's like, who's just going to get what post are you going to get to up the hill?
Right.
And it's seemingly like really far, but not ish at the same time, because I think a lot of it really relies on angle.
Getting it up.
Yeah.
Angle. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you want to throw high up, but you don't want to throw like from the ground, like to the sky, but you don't want to throw like flat either. Like it's this weird angle control that's like a really tough thing to hit, because I've seen some people where I feel like I can beat them outright flat ground, get further than I can up there, and it's like this, but they had like a really good power. They had like no disrespect to them, but it's like they had a really good angle, really good power on it. It's like, if they can do it, like this is totally
right.
achievable.
Right.
Yeah, totally achievable. It's just a weird angle. So from throwing from the base of the hill to up there, just all the trial and error, because all the other times it's like flippy uphill, flippy uphill, flippy uphill, yada, yada, yada. And then I had that talk with Dave, and I was like, I threw a couple times like a PD2, and I was like, I think this is it.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about like middle of the road, fast, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, all right, I'll try that. And it worked. Like,
So you won the world championship.
yeah.
What do you know?
He must know a thing or two, I guess.
All right, so let's go. That'll lead nice. So currently, for me as a human being, and we've talked about this a little bit recently, like that's the part of disc golf that I'm struggling with. And a lot of the reason why I wanted to have this kind of conversation today is like, so I used to have my left arm up in the air.
Yeah.
Tried to break this habit forever. I had no idea it was even a thing. It was fucking crazy. In my mind, this thing's like all tucked tight, and girls are watching like, damn, look at that.
Yeah.
And then in reality, it's like up here, and then I'd swing it down as I'm coming through.
Mm-hmm.
And only recently, we randomly fell into this apparatus that you can get at Golf Galaxy.
$15.99.
It's $14.99.
$14.99.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
$15. But it actually like just clips to your chest and holds your arm. It's for ball golf to keep your right arm down and connected to your body, so you get a more connected swing, Ben Hogan style.
Yeah.
So I put it on my left arm. All of a sudden, and literally in 2 days, it broke my habit of holding my left arm
it's
up.
great. I love that thing.
Yeah,
that thing is great.
It's so crazy because I've literally been focusing on trying to break that habit for like 3 years, and it did it in 2 days.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it opened up like this weird thing of that was my counterbalance. My counterbalance is gone when I throw now. So then like my head started like swinging through weird because my arm wasn't there to balance it out, and like I started having some other issues with it. The head thing's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, I throw a mid 30 feet farther now. I've been able
Really?
to like, yeah. So I've been able to like keep my head, like I just look there the whole
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Easy fix.
Yeah.
My mids go 30 feet farther.
You're welcome.
Dude, I've like, yeah, it's great. And I appreciate it. And I threw like a 350-foot upshot with my wasp on hole 2, Stony Long Blue.
Okay.
And like almost ran it. Like it almost went in.
Really? That'd be sick.
It would have been dope.
Yeah.
3
2 on that hole is.
No, it would have been a 3 from the long pad.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So it's hyzer, drive up to there.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's a
4.
long
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
So
yeah.
and then it was 350 from there. I did it in warm ups, and I was like, I guess I can throw my wasp 350 now, and
Yeah.
like literally like not trying anything else different, just keeping my head in the center of my body, pulling it through 350 with the wasp, no problem. And I was like, cool.
Yeah.
Then I played Addison after the decathlon on Sunday, and I like. So like it's literally the same throw, just not moving my head.
Okay.
So on hole 9, hole 9. I'm sorry. So hole 9 at Addison, I was just
Which
throw
one's 9 again? I got
the one that's got like the little water on the left, and you like weave it through. It's like 270 or something. Plays a little uphill.
So okay,
8
so 4 is the crazy turnover.
Well, eight's the one that like you throw that hyzer.
The little dinker
You can't. No. It's like a decent. You can't see it
after the dinker.
after the little straight dinker.
So after that one.
Yep. So
Okay.
you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You're kind of like
yeah.
low,
Yeah.
and then you're throwing
Sorry.
a little uphill, and then after that you go out into the opening and you see the sun again. So
Yeah.
for that one, I go to tee off, and I literally just throw the exact same shot I always throw. Hit the perfect gap, went right up the right side, and where it would normally like cut in, it just kind of like held a little bit straighter because it had more on it, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah.
And then faded in, and I was still thinking like, oh, I'm gonna run it, and I was like in the fucking trees, like back behind the basket, like
Yeah.
I was on Circle's Edge backside of that,
Yeah. No putt.
and I was like, no, I hit
Did
the
you?
putt. Yeah, my
Nice.
putting's come together this week
Nice.
for right now.
Yeah.
But no, so then like so I just like smashed it, and I was like playing with Tommy, and I was like, yeah, ever since I like quit moving my head, like my mids and putters go, like I haven't done it so well with my drives because I'm still thinking like I'm gonna get this to go. And
Yeah.
my head pulls through.
Come on.
But on my mids and putters, and then on 13, the little one, it was the same thing. I threw the same shot I always throw, just didn't move my head,
Yeah.
and I was so fucking deep in the shit behind that little basket.
Yeah.
It was like I hardly had to putt out,
Yeah.
and I was like, damn it. Like there's these little things, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, keeping my arm down helps. My timing's getting a little bit better. Not moving my head's a little bit better. But what I've had an issue with, and we've talked about it a little bit, is I don't have the mental picture of angles
Yeah.
to get the disc to do what I want it to do. So I'm still like where my game's kind of like hit a slump recently is I'm still throwing the same shots that I would want to throw before with better mechanics, and I'm having worse results.
Yeah.
Because I always see things in like hyzer flips, you know what I mean? Just like being a slower arm speed player. Like I see things in hyzer flips and then like straight to fade and all this. And I'm like, I can do like a, you know, an Annie shot and whatever, but I'm like a real, like I'm going to gun this. I always stay away from the stable because it just like hyzer's out too early for me.
Yeah.
So what I'm having an issue with is like putting it up in the air for it to get the distance to travel and like trusting that when I put it over, it's going to come back and moving like, slowly moving to more and more stable in my mind and knowing that it's going to come back.
Yeah.
Where like you have that in your brain, you're like, this is how this is going to go. But when you're throwing like distance shots, so we're at 18 at Edison.
Okay.
And the one, I don't know if you remember, but the one time we went, you got like a new destroyer.
Uh-huh.
And you were like, I'm going to try this thing out. And then it just like held the Annie forever across that field and then cut back. And you were like, by the bat, like past the basket on the right-hand side.
I think so.
And I remember just being like, I don't know why I play with this fuck kid. This was like 4 years ago. Yeah. Look, you got this new destroyer. I'm going to try this out. You threw one shot, and then you're like, I'm going to try this one out. And it just like held the Annie forever. Like it didn't really like fly over. Like it didn't keep Annieing, but it just like held the Annie.
Yeah.
And like just slowly moved. And then when it came back, it didn't like tank. It just kind of came back and then like glided over. And I was like, I hate you.
Yeah.
Like, but
Nice shot, fuckface.
yeah, great. I told you, good shot. You know, and then I probably called you fuckface. But so when you're throwing a shot like up in the air like that, how are you? You told me a little bit about it, but like, how are you? So like up the hill shot at 13, or if you're just throwing like a wide open field shot, I feel like you get the disc up but you're also like maintaining the nose integrity. How are you doing that? And if I learn it, I'm going to use it to try to beat you, just to be clear.
Yeah, totally. So I actually watched a video yesterday.
You didn't text
the owner?
it to me?
No, I didn't. I'll send it to you.
Your dad knows about that
'Cause
video
I know
too.
he does. I'm going to text him too, so he for sure knows about
Zach
it.
knew about this the whole time.
So Thomas Ekstrom, the owner at Latitude, previous world champion, whatever, they made a video teaching, I guess, like their social media guy or whatever, like somebody who like this is their job, but it's not playing disc golf. It's like helping promote it and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And going through the process of how to just hold a disc and everything, he explains it really well. So like he tells you to like, he does this weird pinky thing, and this doesn't make sense to me, which is weird after saying he explains it really well. But when you like start closing your hand, you have this like crease right here, or at least somewhere along those lines, and then you put the disc right in there and you kind of wrap your fingers just around that. And just by holding it like this, it keeps the disc parallel, like with these two veins that are right here, like this line in your forearm here. So as long as you're holding the disc here and I'm throwing this angle that's up this way, I'm not forcing the disc downwards. I'm literally just holding it, because if you're throwing, like, it doesn't matter how you throw a disc. If it's being thrown nose up, it's not going anywhere, or it's not going as far as it could have been. So a lot of
your friends are going to laugh at you.
I'm like, haha, idiot fuckface.
Pussy.
So a lot of that, and I've even been like being more mindful of that, like the last week or so, is like just having this. I know what it feels like in my hand and what it doesn't, or what is wrong feeling in my hand. And so if it feels wrong, I reset just to make sure I'm in this spot. And all I'm doing is I'm not just holding it, I'm also pulling the disc into my hand with like my fingers in the rim here. But as my thumb is laying here, I'm not like pushing the thumb forward. The pressure is actually also pulling in this way. So like all this contact right here in my thumb, all of this is actually pulling it this way. So when I'm going to throw the disc, I feel like there's so much spin being transferred onto the disc. Like not only is the nose angle going to be flat with where I'm trying to go, that there's just going to be extra spin to help it keep flying for a little longer. Because less spin, less flight, whatever, unless you're throwing it like really hard. And even still, like you can still go farther if the disc can just rotate more.
Girthy puts a ton of spin on his disc. And if you watch the end of his flight, it's like,
it's on the ground, just
but it's like hardly moving, but it just stays in the air. You know what I mean? Like some people you'll watch their throw and it like rips through and then like hits the ground, and his at the end, you feel like you could like run out and grab it like a dog at the beach. Like, 'cause it's just moving so slow.
It's crazy.
But it stays in the air.
So a lot of it is just being able to manipulate that nose angle, and a lot of it I think just falls right down to just how you're holding the disc
in your hand.
I used to throw it or grip it a little differently, where I actually didn't have the disc so much in my palm, or it was more excuse me, up here, like up here in my palm, which automatically, if I want to get this level, I have to really put like some downward force on it. Like I can still throw it like that if I wanted to, but the consistency and reliability of that, like if I were to just like naturally hold it, it's very nose up. I have to force my wrist and thumb downwards. Versus if I just put it here, I don't have to force anything. It's already where it needs to be. So I mean, that's something that I've worked on. So again, like I think just being able to manipulate that, work on grip, make sure it's in line with this forearm, because how your arm is moving this way, like this is just where the disc is going. So if like this is all weird, like
that's what I was trying to teach people when I'm teaching people how to throw. If the disc is in line with your arm, however your arm's moving, the disc is going to go. It's one less thing to like manipulate. But if you're dealing with like a lot of this is very inconsistent, and you're also putting a lot of pressure on a weak joint. Where if you have it in line with your wrist as you're coming through, wherever your elbow's going, basically your arm's just going to follow. The disc is going to fly out at that angle. Makes sense. But
my brain gets it. But what about my body brain? Does that get it?
And I can watch other people do it, and I can see it, and I can be like, nope. You know, but I thought I threw with my arm down for 6 years, and it was way up in the air. So there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in that like impact moment that I don't feel. But yeah, my hand ends up like just opening up as I'm coming through, because especially if I'm trying to put it up, it feels like my hand is more likely to come out of alignment with my arm as I'm coming up.
Yeah.
Because it's somehow like less comfortable to me, and it maybe like as I'm coming through, my wrist just comes forward, and then my hand's in front of the disc, which has the nose up.
Yeah,
as opposed to coming through and then.
Yeah, and for me too. Like when I'm throwing that shot on 13, like I'm reaching downwards to come up here, and there's a level of uncomfortability of that, so I have to like make that happen. So if I know I'm feeling uncomfortable with it, I'm comfortable with being that uncomfortable, because I know I'm hitting what I need to be doing.
Right.
So I don't know exactly what it is. I'm not the best at explaining things sometimes, but that's like the best that I can give.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You're gonna do it. You're gonna do it.
Yeah, like
We're
it's just going to happen. Yeah.
Cool. So then let's do 15. So when you're doing 15,
Toboggan.
Okay. As you're getting ready for that, did you spend much time on that hole, or that's kind of straightforward?
I haven't done that hole yet.
Yeah.
That's going to be likely tomorrow, but the level of comfort again I have on that hole, like I have a very strong idea of just how I'm going to play it, which is just going big off the tee. And I really don't even think that it's like that big. Like I think you can get to where I'm trying to go just because of how the hole is laid out, because to get from where you're at to that the landing zone, like where Will was trying to go with sidearm and whatever, is I think like 260, 270-ish, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Where it's like, okay, I can pump something like past 260, and this is for sure flat ground. And as soon as you get past there, the ground falls away.
Right.
So what I want to go practice is just if I'm going to throw high speed, it's going to be one of those two flippier-ish D2s for sure. Or what can I do with like FD? Am I going to be a little more control with it?
Yeah.
And where can I get that realistically? It's definitely not going to be overstable, because I don't want it to come out.
Right.
Like I want it to fall with the ground, because anywhere past over there, like you're to the right of the OB, and anywhere over there, like the upshot from practically anywhere is
easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like you can make something work. And if you're like, even in the thick, rough shit past the road on the right side, like there are windows. It's just the thing you have to contest with now is like, can I find it? Or like, did the spotter see it and can find it or something like that?
Right.
Because you don't have to really worry about cut rolls either, because the ground's falling away. Hence why throwing flippy. Hence why just fucking gun it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think the only reason that you should just lay up is just you're uncomfortable with throwing big off the tee.
I think with that, it's one of those things though, like today, and I think we talked a little bit about it, like the process of progress, but as the sport moves forward and you see people do stuff, you know what I mean? Like people were bitching about like, oh, toboggan's too easy because Paul shot 18 down.
No.
And it's like, no, that like
he murdered that course.
A lot of great people played that course many times, maybe slightly variants, but so what, fuck it. And like the best was 11 down, which was shot the day before.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, oh,
that was Nico, wasn't
anybody, him and Nico shot it.
Yeah. Okay.
But then it's the thing of like, once you see him do it, then you're like, oh, that shot's attainable. Oh, this shot's attainable. You know, like you're not going to putt like Paul Macbeth.
Yeah.
But you're like, oh, I can hit that shot. I can do this. I can do that. And then all of a sudden, like shooting better than 11 down becomes something that you think like, oh, I can do it. I think on a hole like 15, and even when you were talking earlier, like that pine tree's 260 away, 270 away on hole 4. I think there's a lot of it with that course that just plays the way that you've seen it played before and the way that you've seen people play it, and you make a shot more difficult because, you know, like this is the shot that everybody throws, so I'm going to throw that shot, as opposed to like going out, taking measurements, getting a look at it and being like, dude, I can get all the way to here really easily. Like it's not that big of a thing. So I think like out of the corner there, that shot, people are worked up and nerved up about it because they watch everybody throw it short and they want to hit that shot.
Yeah.
And that shot then becomes like,
and interesting on 4 too. To go back to that, I just remembered when I lasered that shot, my tee shot immediately changed in the sense of like, how much am I putting into this? Because before it was like, I'm really like trying to send this thing. Yeah. And now it's like, oh, it's only right there. And it's for sure like a flat ground shot. I went from like kind of like a full on run up to just like, let's just 2-step it, whatever, and get in, just make sure to get into it and that's it. And it's like I'm getting like right where I want to be every time.
Yeah.
So like having that information was super key in being comfortable with throwing those shots.
Yeah.
Just because it's like I know like what I can throw, where I can throw, like
Yeah.
easily on
And
what and all that. Yeah.
Once you see the numbers and you know that that's what it is, then you're like, oh shit, this isn't that crazy.
Yeah.
And I think 15 is one, because even the last time like we went to play it, I was like, well, fuck it, I want to play the long shot.
Yeah.
Because that, and then I just didn't hit it. I just didn't really throw into
Yeah.
it. But because that short shot, like, yeah, you can run the basket from there. You know what I mean? And like, I like landing in that landing zone and then just throwing like a hyzer flip, like dead at the basket. And
Yeah.
even if you blast that hill, you're gonna be right there.
Yeah.
So it's an easy 3, as long as you don't, fuck up that early shot. But I almost think you have more leeway on screwing up your shot going for the big shot, because that out of bounds on the left like fades away.
Yeah.
So even if you like just get around that corner with enough gusto, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, coming to the right, even if it fades back out left at the end, you're still kind of past the out of bounds.
The OB is like, it comes in and then it meets the fairway.
Yeah.
And then as your disc is coming here, your disc is like hopefully just kind of like riding right. The OB rides left. And then as soon as it hits that,
Road.
the OB hits the road, it follows the road, which is like this way.
Right.
So even if you go, like you can go just straight past the OB if you wanted.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. And even if you
Yeah.
went out like off the tee pad, like way wide and just played a big fade shot, like
yeah.
you would still come back in bounds.
Yeah.
Because that OB then cuts left. So even if
Yeah.
you just like threw like a huge kind of Anheuser shot out and landed back at the bottom of that hill, like I think that that's not that hard of a shot to execute, and that's a big window going into it. You know,
Yeah.
as long as you don't turn it too early and catch that tree on the right, that's
Yeah.
like that weird.
Yeah. Like it's definitely not a gimme shot. It's a shot
Yeah.
you definitely have to be committed to,
Yeah.
have thrown and whatever. But like,
But people fuck up the short shot all the time.
yeah.
It's not like, oh, because it's only 270, like everybody just lands in that thing. People hit the trees early on the right because they're worried about going left, or people don't get enough over it, and then it's OB on the left. It's
Yeah.
not like when I play there with people and no one goes for the big one, that everyone's just right there at the top of that hill and we all throw nice shots to the basket. Like you still have
Yeah.
people like over here, they cut it in early of that tree of the right and whatever. So I think like, yeah, I was interested the last time we played. I was like, I think that the long play, because there's not a lot of danger
Yeah.
as long as you get past the OB.
Right.
You know, Rob was telling me on Sunday that he spotted on that and Garrett threw and like just fucking murdered it.
Yeah.
And it came like all the way through, like way the fuck up, and went way over to the right. I was
Really?
like jammed underneath this stuff, like by, what is that, 12?
Yeah.
Yeah, like over by like the shit by 12. And he like walked over and Garrett, and he's like, oh, it's right over there. I put a flag by it. And Garrett was like, good. And then Rob,
Good.
and then Rob was like, you wouldn't have found it, which I think is so funny because he's like kind of mild mannered, but he's like, you wouldn't have found it if it wasn't for me. Which I think is great. When he told that story, I thought it was so fucking hilarious. He's like,
That's
no, he's
awesome.
like, no, seriously, it was like under this stuff and whatever. And like, you know, it's kind
Yeah.
of in the middle of nowhere. Like you just juiced it
Yeah.
around there.
Like you're the first person here.
Yeah. You're definitely like the only other people that have been here came here from 12. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's hilarious.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So then, let's see what other ones are. So 18, you're gonna obviously throw like a turnover shot.
Yeah.
Or you're gonna go forehand to end your tournament. What if
No.
you started and finished bookend with the forehand drive,
Oh.
just for style points?
Oh.
Just rip a forehand off one and then
Shit.
finish with the forehand on 18.
Oh man. What do I get for it? What are you giving me?
Ladies,
Oh.
prizes, fame beyond your wildest dreams.
Banana?
Oh, I don't know, maybe. Who
Oh
knows?
shit.
So you're gonna. What do you like
But-
speed wise? So my question on that hole is always speed.
Yeah.
Like how fast of a disc are you throwing, and then how far out to the left are you throwing it?
So with high speed discs comes high responsibility. So like
Yeah.
disc like so putters don't interact with drives at like so much as high speed drivers do. So like with putters, like you don't get all this like crazy
Movement.
yeah.
Yeah.
Versus like if you're throwing flippy fast, like you can get all this crazy stuff. So to kind of meet in the middle, you got like a fairway that kind of does the best of both worlds. It doesn't have so much movement, but it does have movement. You can get it to like float right and do whatever, and it's fast. So the play that I've been doing on that hole that I really, really like, that is really consistent for me, is throwing an FD. Like I got that yellow one that's like a little flippier than brand new.
Yeah.
And there's a post, like, so you have the OB posts that are on the left-hand side. And then you have that stupid fucking tree that's got the lowest hanging branch of any tree ever. And
that's where all my drives go.
That's where all my drives go too, because I
Yep.
hit that branch
Yep.
every time.
I hit it every time.
Yeah. So
With a variance of like 30 feet from how far I'm putting. Like
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll fight through that branch and
Yeah.
I'll be past it. Sometimes I'll hit the branch, get knocked straight down.
Yes.
Sometimes it'll get knocked left. Yeah. But I
Yeah.
hit that branch every time.
yeah, and that's another hole where it's like I'm shooting for 2, like I'm not playing it just for 3.
Yeah.
But if I 3 it, I'm okay with it because I know to 2 it, it's gonna take like a lucky shot to get through, or like it stays there and I hit like a long putt or something. But even still, it's like
So what about, I was curious the last time that we played when we finished, because I do hit that branch every time.
yeah,
And I'm throwing something flippy because I know it's going to come back.
yeah,
And I throw it so that way I know it's not going to roll, but I'd rather end up too far to the right than fuck up and go OB. 'Cause
Yeah.
I hate just giving strokes away.
right,
But what I was thinking is like, what if you threw it out wider, like something that was like a little bit flippy, threw it out wider just to get past that branch before it faded in, so at least you were top of the hill.
I mean, that's an idea I have. I haven't been out to like really
To fuck
throw
around with
that.
that?
So
Okay.
like out of all the times I've played to like mess around in half practice and casual rounds, it's
Yeah.
so that row of, or that OB rope, and then that branch, visually where they meet, there's a post right there that I aim at
Yeah.
above it, and I'm aiming there, and I'm just throwing it slight turn, and just again make sure I hit it because I need it to turn.
Yeah.
But I know that I'm not going to get this to like dump roll on me like something more flippy would,
Right.
because if that happens, out of bounds for sure
Every time.
So really, like, I'm trying to again like navigate that branch, and I find that one window and it punches through, and I'm like in the circle putting for 2, because even still, like if I hit that branch, it's like I just throw it up there and get a 3, or like
Right.
depending on where it lands, maybe I can run it for a putt at 2 or something like that.
It's hard to
But-
get a 4 from there.
Yeah, it's pretty
Unless you
pretty
have a
difficult.
medical emergency.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess, or something.
Yeah.
Left your cat on fire, I
Yeah.
guess. But
I gotta go.
yeah. But that's for sure a hole that I want to go and practice just to really dial in, because again, like that being OB on the left side, I totally get it, and also like I need to be dialed in for that, because like just to throw away a dumb stroke there, like maybe I get there and it's like it would just be smarter to play for 3, or I don't know,
Yeah.
or I gotta figure that one out for sure.
I think that one and 9, as we were talking about.
Yeah.
As we were talking about yesterday, like those are the 2 holes where I feel like your biggest obstacles aren't the hole at all.
Yeah.
It's what you just did with the last 20 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like 17, just playing 17, the tee off shot, and 15, I think it's like a nothing hole, right? Like you're playing for the 3, you're
Yeah.
probably going to get the 3, no
Yeah.
big deal. And then when you get to 16, you really want the 2.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's anywhere near a guaranteed 2. There's always like a
No.
weird wind there. It's always like, that opening gets a little bit smaller each year.
Yeah.
And like, if you miss that 2, you're kind of like, fuck, right? Like I wanted that 2.
Yeah.
And then you go into 17, you're like, you got this huge out of bounds. You throw 17. If you 3 it, sweet. If you take the 4, you take the 4.
Mm-hmm.
But it just takes a lot out of you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that like down the hill, up the hill, like, whatever it is. My cart's like 3 times as heavy as yours. And I'm like a senior citizen. So by the time I get to the top of that hill and we're done with 17, I did 3 it twice this year, but whatever.
Yeah.
But when you get to 17, you get to 18 and like the round's over. Like you've just done so much physically, mentally, all that. And you get to 18, you're like, I just got this one shot left. And it's hard not to be weary, like mentally weary, and
Yeah.
just throw the shot. Like you
Yeah.
just like run up there and throw it. And then you're like, fuck. Right?
Yeah.
That's not.
And that's kind of why I was like pushing myself these like practice rounds where it's like I'm just gonna go until I'm like gassed. Like
Yeah.
I threw the last throw I had today on 13 was like that was just fucked because I'm gassed.
Yeah.
Done. And then other than that, like I'm riding my bike for like cardio and whatever, so I can at least have better cardio than before. Like I used to be like great at it, but this was years ago back in Texas.
Yeah.
But at least like for this, because you need it here. Like that's a huge part of it, like mentally at this place, because
Drink water, take
yeah.
snacks. Yeah, the whole thing. Like,
absolutely.
the
And
whole
there was
thing's
there was a guy practicing out there as well. I don't know who it was, but like every time, like he played through us like multiple times, because like I'm playing specific holes and whatever. He's like playing everything,
right.
but he's rushing everything, and he's just trying to hammer everything and like getting frustrated, this and that. Like, I don't think he's taken like the right time. Like, it just looks rushed and like chaotic and all this stuff. And it's like, you're going to have a bad time. Like, have fun being like below me in the standings type thing.
Yeah.
And like,
But I think it's a skill set. You know what I mean? Like learning how to prepare and learning your system for how to get ready for a tournament is a skill set.
Yeah.
It's not something that's just intuitive.
Yeah. And my thing that I'm getting is like, he's like obviously gassed. Like when we were on 13 and he was throwing all these shots, it was like, he's just gassed.
Yeah.
Because he was like getting there. Like his throw was looking better a couple holes ago when he played through. And now it's like, they're all over the place and whatever.
You're
so
just
like
wasting your time and ruining tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're practicing it. To me, it looks like you're just practicing bad habits, even though you're not practicing bad habits. You're doing them and you're reiterating them and so on and so forth. So like as soon as I got to that point, like even yesterday, I was like, I really want to make it to 11 just to try to do like one round of it. Cause 11 was probably up there with 9, probably like 9 and 11 were both like the hardest holes for me, where it's like, I don't know, like, what am I doing here? Am I trying to do it? Am I just going for 3, or like, am I just messing it up and making this hole extra hard or whatever?
Yeah.
So I broke 9. I figured it out. I broke 11. I figured it out. But 2ing 9 to me is easier than 2ing 11.
Yeah.
So
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Throwing like a pussy the way that I do, I still have a putt at 9.
Yeah.
And I rarely have anything that I can really believe in on 11.
Yeah.
Like I don't mess it up that much. Like I have like an easy up and down, but I'm not anywhere where I'm like, yeah, this is going to go in.
Yeah. And what I found too is that I'm playing 9 and 11 the exact same way. I'm throwing the same shot. So on 9, how that shot plays out,
I
it
throw
ends
the
up
same
straight.
shot.
Yeah.
I throw the same shot.
And then 11, I'm throwing the same shot a little higher, but it's doing the same thing. And then it's like, with Fred today, I was like, I threw a couple and then came back. I threw 2 more. I was like, okay, those feel like really good. And I was like, I'm going to try this. And then the first one, like immediately out of my hands, like, yeah, I'm doing this.
That's one of the runs there that like, I feel like I know something that a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
It's like 9 and 11. Cause I just throw the straight shot. I almost always have a putt at it. Like a lot of time people go to the right or whatever it is. And like, I'm always in that opening. I always have like at least like a half-ass bid at it. I never have a great open shot. And then 11, kind of the same thing. Like I sawed it off a couple times, but most of the time I just throw a hyzer flip out. It fades up onto the hill. I'm like in the middle of the hill. It's an easy hole. Yeah. And then I watch people like try to do too much, and they're trying to play like some weird shot in their head, and then they're like ripping it over or doing all this other shit. I'm like,
there was a kid that played through with us. I don't know why he was running every hole. Yeah. But he was like running every hole for I don't know. Like he finished 7 as we're like taking a break on 8, and he like runs up to us. He's like, I've never played this course before, and blah blah blah. And I was like, well, you kind of want to whatever. And like as I'm like explaining it, he like throws his shot. And I was like, but I wasn't done explaining. I was trying to like help you out or whatever. And so he doesn't hit it, doesn't get whatever. I don't know if like he just is gassed from all the running he was doing or whatever. But
did he have his shirt off?
No.
Oh, okay.
Murdoch was out there.
He
had his shirt off. And I was like, you're not that big, bro. I don't think he knew who I was either until like he came up and whatever. He like kind of chuckled because I don't know. Anyways, but so we're like waiting on 8. This kid's like running through, and I gave him like the couple pointers like on 9 and whatever, and like
as he's running down the hill.
Yeah.
On the next hole, you're gonna want to throw it straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let us know when you're clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't remember where I was going with it, but yeah, like.
Yeah, just being the same shot on 9 and 11.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of silly. Like one of those like, I'll just fucking try it just to see. Like I'll pretend like I'm on 9 and then just throw this and just out of my hand, but like that's it. That's all I needed was just that. Because so on 9 I throw that orange D2. I try to break those 2 trees through straight. Yeah. On here I threw same shot on that like slight anhyzer up at the tree. So you have like big tree on the right that I always hit like all year long. And then there's a little tree, probably
on the
like
left. Yeah.
Yeah, to the left of that.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna just aim high of that. Anhyzer flattened out, stayed flat at the tree up over, and then hyzered out. I was like circle's edge. Yeah. And then I did it again. I was like circle's edge, and then I did it one more time.
Darren will never beat me on this hole again.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I had a third one with a disc that was like slightly more of a stable, and I didn't hit it like so good. So it's like same spot, just like 10 feet shorter or whatever.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, like this
Easy
is
up and down.
Yeah, this is just it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like from where the first two are, it's like this, I'm running this all day long. And the shorter one, like I'll try to run it, but even still, it's like these are just easy threes and great. Like
You
I
get
watched,
one, right? If you get one, you get one.
Yeah.
Just don't take a 4.
yeah,
Right.
And watching like all the fucking super pros come in, and it's like they're not doing anything more than what I can do. Like
Yeah.
seeing Simon and Eagle throw on 10, watching Nico and Conrad throw on 6. Like Conrad had a great drive there.
On
for
6?
sure on 6.
Yeah,
like
that would be I would pick that as a Conrad hole.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was still
Except for that fucking run up and tee pad.
like
That's my least favorite tee pad. I
Yeah.
just see my knee
dude.
blowing out every
Yeah,
time
I
throw
took a broom from Nacho, the TD or
Yeah.
whatever, and I just swept everything
Yeah.
just because for that reason. And like a ton of people are ahead of me, like, and Ricky plays in like I don't know Nike loafers or whatever that like barely have I don't know how like he does it, especially there with those tee pads and mud and dirt all over it, and they for sure played that like that.
No
I don't know
problem.
how he like survived. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
weird. So that's like a huge thing. So hopefully the brooms are there for the tournament the whole time. I might just go get a broom to put on my cart for just in case, or
Yeah.
if anything, like a towel so I can beat the crap out of it and get all the dust off.
Yeah.
And as soon as I was doing that, I was like, I could commit to shots.
Yeah.
Like 6, I was
I
able to
I
commit.
play with a broom all the time.
Yeah.
For those who don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because my knee is dog shit, and if I'm apprehensive about slipping on the tee pad at all, I can't throw.
Yeah, it changes the shot
All I'm
dynamic
thinking
entirely.
is, I hope that this thing doesn't go out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I hope this is
Yeah.
my last throw for the year.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And that's why I do it. Like I think my knees are fine, and it's still like I want my knees to be good.
I don't want him
still,
to be like Darren.
Yeah.
You're running up like I hope it doesn't end up like Darren.
Mine are still knees. I don't
Yeah.
want them to be paper mache. Like, yeah.
I had one this year. Just total segue into
Yeah.
nothing. But I had
Sure.
one this year that was the opposite.
You
Bald
had an
Mountain.
issue that was the opposite.
The opposite. Bald Mountain,
Okay.
hole 11. Went up. So instead of using like a brush or something for the concrete,
Which one's 11?
just a 350 open. I mean, it's not open. There's like a little thing in the front. There's a pine tree by the basket, but it's
Oh,
basically
yeah,
just
yeah,
open.
yeah.
For me, that's a sweet ace run. I've almost hit that thing
Yeah.
a few times.
Yeah.
But I went up to throw it, and like instead of the concrete like being textured, it's like ribbed
Yeah.
for not your pleasure.
Yeah.
So like I ran up, and like I wasn't thinking at all about slipping because I was like, oh, this is good grip.
Oh,
And
I remember.
as I went to throw, it like grabbed me, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden like my foot wouldn't spin,
Mhm.
and I just like let go of my disc because it freaked me out, and I was like, I would rather slip.
Yeah.
I would rather slip than like because otherwise you might as well play in cleats and just run
Yeah.
up and like fucking put all your momentum into a joint that can't turn,
Yeah.
and it just freaked me out. So
Yeah.
now,
That actually happened to me on the hole before that.
yeah, that one's bad too.
Yeah, like one of the times I was there, I totally messed up the shot because like the tee pad like snuck up on me, so I don't know if I like stepped early
It's like
or
a
like
big-
it or
It's
it
like a
is
big
like
Montana.
Yeah.
You can only interact with it at night. It'll fuck
Yeah.
you up. Yeah.
But yeah, it just like your mind,
Yeah.
like yeah, and it
It's
like
scary.
yeah, it was
I just
nutty.
see ligaments blowing out.
Yeah, like it was crazy. So like there's I don't know. I have my own perfect tee pad,
Yeah.
which are like the tee pads at Memorial, just like big circles or whatever. Or like even if it was just like a big perfect square,
Yeah.
and then just you take a shot brush across it
Yeah.
and then just call it good. Like
Yeah.
you have all this room. You don't have to start from off the tee and like pick up all this whatever and bring it to the tee pad, and everybody else does the same thing. Then eventually there's just more dirt everywhere.
Yeah.
Instead of, I don't know why we can't just have a nice big thing to throw off of.
Yeah.
Like in ball golf, like you have this giant thing and you can tee from anywhere from within the two, whatever the hell it is.
Just make sure you're behind him.
Yeah.
I played with this dude. Shall go unnamed. And this motherfucker would tee off 4 inches in front of the things, and I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
I just didn't get it. I'm like, all you're doing is throwing your integrity away on a 445-yard hole.
Do I know
You're-
this guy?
No.
Okay.
You're looking to gain 4 inches. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like you just look like a jackass.
Yeah.
But I went and played ball golf yesterday, which was fun.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Met up with my buddy Classic Steve.
Yeah. Classic. This is California guy?
Yeah,
Okay.
he was back in town, whatever. So I went and played with him yesterday. Shot at 87. Haven't played in a year.
Baller.
I had some real dicey OBs.
Oh, yeah?
Real fucking dicey. I had one, hit a shot so the hole goes up to the right. Hit a slice. Wanted to hit a slice. Hit a slice. I was like, sweet. I wanted to hit a draw. I was like,
Yeah.
man, killing it,
Dude.
whatever.
Tiger
But
Woods. What?
hit this slice. It was early, so instead of like coming out here and going, I like came in here and went.
Yeah.
Comes down over the tree. I'm like, oh, I'm good. There's room over there. Hits a cart path, bounces up in the air, and then rolls into this like tiny little fucking stream. Lost ball. It's like, God damn it. Then another one.
Oh, no.
I tried to drive the green on a par 4.
Okay.
I haven't played in a year. I'm like, I got this. Hold my beer. Let's
Yeah.
go. Right? Full tilt into it. There's a little stream that comes across the fairway at like 280 yards.
Okay.
The hole's only like 318 yards or something to the center of the green.
Okay.
So I'm thinking the stream doesn't go all the way across. I'm going to like aim it. Like this is like some super dialed in shit. But I was like, fuck it. If I'm going to fuck it up, I want to fuck it up really going for it. Not like. So I pull the big dog out, get them all lined up. And I'm like, I'm going to draw this over to the left side of the stream, whatever. It's going to be money.
Yeah.
Dude, smack the shit out of this thing. Dead on. Boom. Right down the left side. It comes. There's like a branch hanging down from the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And it just roasts this. I mean, like I'm talking like this big.
Okay.
Right? I'm not a branch. It was like
Yeah.
a stick, right?
Yeah.
With like leaves on it.
Yeah.
Roast the stick. The little leaf thing like falls down to the ground.
Yeah.
Can't find the ball.
Really?
We get up there. Can't find the ball.
What?
We looked all over the place. Can't find it. So we hypothesized because we couldn't find it that
Yeah.
it must have like hit this little thing, hit the ground weird, and then like cut over to the side and like caught the weird part of the stream like over here.
Sure.
But it was like I had the stream beat.
Yeah.
And I had a hard time believing that like that little stick like directed the ball like over to the right, but we literally couldn't find it. Like 3 of us looked for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It was gone. That was an OB.
Sad.
And then on the last hole, smashed the shit out of this drive into a wide open field.
Mm-hmm.
There's like 3 trees that I was kind of aiming for. Ball rips out. I'm like, yeah, go. And then you hear the like knock of it hitting the tree. That's called hard lumber in golf. So I got the hard lumber.
Is it actually?
Yeah.
Okay.
And because it's a specific sound.
Okay.
Like it's like someone hitting a baseball. Like
Oh,
you
okay.
you didn't graze a branch and you
Yeah.
didn't hit like a stick. Like you got some hard lumber. So
Gotcha.
you hear this like knock and you're like, okay, but I'm still cool.
Yeah.
Nope, couldn't fucking find it. Then we walked around. It's like a field. Walked all around, found 3 other balls, some yellow one. This Eastern European woman came up and hit a ball. It was like weird, but couldn't find it. It was gone. So I took 3 penalty strokes, still shot 87. I thought that was pretty baller.
Yeah.
Yeah. More importantly, I beat Classic Steve.
Yeah. Good fuck, Steve.
My game with him was always darts, and the last time before he left town, he kicked my ass at darts.
Really?
Yeah. That's kind of my game, and I was like so salty. He rubbed it in, but then yesterday took him down at the small ball.
Yeah.
So I was like, vindication. It's like a year later. I'm sure he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I'm back. I have self-worth again.
That's hilarious.
Oh. All right, so next thing we were going to talk about is like building your bag.
Yeah.
All right, so
Yeah,
I had a super random experience this year of trying to switch to single manufacturer,
Yeah.
which if anybody knows me, I've been so against for so long, right? Like
Yeah.
I've really like campaigned against it. But I'm getting up there, and I decided that I wanted to try to move to single manufacturer, so I switched my whole bag to Discraft.
Yeah. What were you throwing before? Like
Oh, a super
I
mixed
know.
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've all of these, like that bottom row there is Discraft, but all of these are literally like everybody,
Yeah.
right? Like I at some point 2011, I think it was 2011, I'd been throwing like Innova and some Discraft, mostly just mids. I was putting with Wizards, whatever. I just had like a set put together, and then I remember I found this disc at Star with Master Chief on it, and it was a Halo.
Oh.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's felt great. I'm like, is this new?
Yeah.
And so I found it, and I was like, dude, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was like, oh, it's made by Latitude 64. And I was like, who's Latitude 64?
Yeah.
And I remember just thinking, like, if this is out there, what else is out there?
Yeah.
And so I just ordered, like, a fuck ton of discs from, like, every manufacturer.
Yeah.
And I'd order, like, a bunch of each mold and all
And
this
you say
stuff.
every manufacturer in 2011. That was what, like 4?
Yeah. But well, hold on. In my defense,
Yeah.
this process took more than 1 year.
Okay.
So over the next
Yeah,
few
yeah.
years,
Yeah.
I'm like,
Didn't go dump like $5,000 that night.
no. Well, I probably did, but not just. So like, I got a bunch of Latitude stuff. I got some West Side stuff. I got Innova. I got some MVP stuff when that stuff came out. I've gotten some Axiom stuff. I got a bunch of Prodiscus stuff because like once I got theirs, I really liked the plastic. Prodigy came out. I got a bunch of Prodigy stuff, like all these different things. And I really just put it to the test of like consistency of manufacturing. So if I got 5 of one disc, or usually it was like 8, right? So I'd get like 8 of one disc in 2 different plastics. So 4 in one plastic, 4 in another plastic. Go out and throw them. How consistent are the 4 of the same plastic? And then how consistent are the 2 to each other in different plastics? Okay. And then go from there. And if I got your 8 discs and none of the motherfuckers threw the same, we're done. Yeah. We're done. We're over, right? Yeah. Like, so I had some real quick that fell off fast. Not gonna name companies. I'm not here to trash anybody, but I had some where like I'd get like 8 discs and like it was 8 different discs. Yeah. And I was like, I can't build a game.
The only consistent thing was probably the
name. Yeah, it was just the name of it. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, you're out. And so then like if those discs worked really well, right, and they were like really consistent, I would then order more, like, this is going to sound psycho, but I'm kind of psycho, like 8 months later. Okay. I'd order like 8 more. So I know it's a different run, right? Like I'd wait and see. I know it's a different run. I know it's a different production line. How are they going to work with the ones that I have? Okay. So then if those 2 match up and like all of the premium plastics are flying the same and all of the like Star or Ultrium or whatever that plastic is that company makes, if those all fly the same, 2 different runs, right? And like the weight makes sense. Like the little bit lighter ones are a little bit flippier, the heavier one, you know what I mean? Like if all that makes sense, like I'm in. Yeah. I'll support your company and buy all your shit because like I know when I lose something or when I order something in the mail, it's going to come and I know what I'm going to get every time. Right. So that fell to specific companies, but I would still give every company a shot. So, you know, like I got a whole bunch of legacy discs. I really like their fairway drivers. I still to this day really like their fairway drivers. Patriot for a flippy fairway driver, I think is awesome. The Rival for like a stable fairway driver, really like it. You know, and they have some discs. So some companies I really liked their shit, like their specific stuff. Like I've always thrown Discraft mid ranges. Yeah. And I've always thrown like either Prodiscus or Legacy fairway drivers. And so I just built up a giant library, like all these like go through different speeds and stabilities. And so I had like kind of a library of stuff. And then depending on, because I'm dealing with body issues, like depending on how my throw's going, I can adjust the disc to how I'm performing. So like mid-season, I'd usually switch up my bag. Because like all of a sudden I'm getting more snap, my body's in better shape, you know, or like something's going wrong with my body, I'm not getting as much into the disc, I'd then like move to something a little bit less stable. But with this whole setup, like I can just dial a disc down, no problem. And then throw the exact same shot and it's going to go the exact same way. And then if I'm getting more snap on it and I consistently am like turning it, I can just switch to like a slightly more stable disc or even a slightly more stable disc of that same mold and do that. And I've relied on that, and I've really enjoyed that process. And that's why I have this, because it's like 8 to 12 of each mold that I actually throw. And there's probably like 40 molds total. And then I just like move it around as the year goes on. And then each year I'll kind of build my bag like that. So I was still in the process of like building my bag each year. And then like halfway through the year, I would like rebuild my bag. Okay. So I'm not like, I'm a little weird in that way that like, I'm not a guy that's like, this T-Bird's been in my bag since, you know, since fucking Clinton. Yeah. And I've got 85 aces with it, you know, and like I played with, I'm not that guy. Yeah. Also, I'm weird in that the minute I ace with something, I just retire it. Because like collecting ace discs is a big reason why I play disc golf. You know? Yeah. They just make me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same way too. Like if I ace a disc, like I think I have 1, maybe 2 multiple ace discs. Yeah. And it was just because like I just never really brought it in to retire it. And it's like, oh, I'm here and I'm throwing, and I'm not really going to lose it. So I'm on the hunt for a few of my aces. I don't know if anyone's heard about a yellow Casey AVR, but
missing in action.
Yeah, missing.
Highly.
Yeah. And it's for like that reason where it's like that was, and mostly it like reflects like just a period of time in my life that just brought like I was super sad, like I'm sure you remember like why and whatever, but like that brought like a huge wave of like happiness to me. So like it's not that it's this disc and whatever. It's just like the sentiment that comes with it of like, this is why I want it because of X period of time in my life that like I just like to have it back. So if I were going through all my aces, like there's stories behind it. And like if I were to go through like with you or Amanda or whatever, and like when did you get this, or like why this, that, whatever, like there's something that comes along with it. I enjoy that part of it. And
I'm gonna have to take a break for a second. I have to pee.
Yeah. Is it hitting?
Don't laugh at me.
Where we at? We're cruising. Ugh.
Trying to hold it. Oh, I gotta pee too. Go upstairs.
Go upstairs?
Yeah.
What's wrong in there?
There's no light. It's like you can't see. I'm not even sure if I got it in there. I just had to go.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we just had to take a break because I had to pee real bad. I tried to hold it, but I couldn't. When did you get home, honey? Thunder? Oh, you okay? Made for an awkward 5 minutes. Sorry, Zach, I just pissed my pants. What? You're gonna have some editing with this one. That's okay. We're back.
Yeah. Quick pee break. I'm gonna need to see your battery collection after this. We're gonna need
I'll
some
show you.
batteries for this thing. No, we're good. It's going the whole time.
And we're back.
Yeah.
All right, sorry about that.
Nice pee.
So so anyway, so this year I had to build a bag with like a single manufacturer. So last year I felt like the end of the year I played the best disc golf I've ever played. Like
Okay.
after the injections in my knee and I got my body kind of like somewhat together, I felt like I played the best that I'd played.
Yeah.
So this year with COVID and like I had some mechanical breakthroughs, like all my discs started flying differently anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, well, I'm going to have to kind of build a bag from scratch because all of a sudden I actually got snap onto my discs and like everything started flying differently. So I was like, well, I'm not really going to get to compete a whole lot this year. So why not like take a run at it? I've never done it before. It'll be a nice challenge. And then hopefully it'll be rewarding to, to do that.
A run at building a single manufacturer bag.
Yeah.
I know there's a reason.
Yeah.
behind-
Well, I would like to like work towards getting sponsored.
Yeah.
But also I kind of intellectually like the challenge of it.
yeah.
And I have a lot of friends that I play with a lot that play specifically with just Discraft stuff. So I knew I had good references of like, they don't know my discs. Like most
Yeah.
people don't know the discs that I throw. So
Yeah.
I can't be like, well, what would you throw instead of a lasery?
Yeah.
And they're like,
I literally was just thinking the same.
what the fuck's a lasery? And you're like, well, it's kind of like, well, at that point, I might as well just say.
Similar to a razory.
Yeah. So building the set, obviously all the mids were easy. And then going below the mid was kind of easy too. You know what I mean? Like putt and approach and all that wasn't
Yeah.
that big of a deal. I mean, obviously you're going to throw a zone, right? Obviously
Yeah.
I'm going to throw some sort of challenger, right? Like
Yeah.
there's whatever. So the hardest one for me was going to be what I was going to throw for my up shots. Cause I used to throw like a basic beat up jokery,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of like a slower zone, but because it was beat up, like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Turns out a Jawbreaker Ringer GT flies exactly like what I wanted.
Okay.
But because I switched discs, it kind of switched the way that I look at shots.
Mm-hmm.
I no longer throw that disc at all.
Oh, really?
So like the way that I do up shots, like that's what I was talking earlier about, like how do you see lines? How do you see disc golf? Because this year going through the process of changing these discs, and I'm not done. Like I have a set that works, and like I've shot a few really good rounds with it, and I've done some also like really bad rounds with it, but like I at least believe in my set. I'm not as familiar with it as I would like to be. Sometimes I think that they're going to do stuff that they're obviously not going to do. But it changed the way that I actually look at the shots that I throw, and it changed the way at like how I want to throw, which, you know, like it's always an evolution, kind of like how you're going through disc golf, but a little bit of mechanical cleanup and stuff like that. And now it's really kind of changed the way that I approach disc golf, and like how, like when you're talking about your process of like, this is how I look at a hole, this is what I do, this is the shot I'm going to throw. For the first time, I'm at like the reevaluation of like, why do I throw that shot? Why do I see this line? Why are these the discs that I choose to play with? And I've started talking about this recently, but then I spend a lot of time now, unfortunately, during rounds that count for stuff, fucking with angles and throwing different shots.
Okay.
And trying to dial stuff in. So a lot of the time, like I'm working on something specific and shooting around that counts for something. So I'm trying to work on like, recently I've spent a bunch of time throwing like understable stuff to clean up my mechanics, because
shout out Crank SS.
Yeah. And the Thrasher and, you know, like Avenger SS, and even like the XL to some point that I have that's flippy, like, because it forces me to stay over my shot. Right. And like, it's not going to hide anything. It can be incredibly frustrating when I'm playing because every little mistake I make really costs me, you know, but I felt like it was worth it to maybe not shoot my best to really like clean up my mechanics. And I feel like it's done pretty well. I've recently realized that I've had the consequence of like not hitting my shots, because I'm kind of apprehensive about like, well, what if I flip this thing over? Like, it's really going to fuck me. So I've kind of gotten recently into the thing of like, I'm not actually like really throwing my shots. And then I'll have days when I really do, and it'll be epic. Last Thursday I played at Bald Mountain. I threw all my shots. Dude, I ran like tons of baskets, hit sweet lines, did all this other shit. And then I went out at Stony on Friday, and like, I couldn't really commit to the shot because I was so worried about shit flipping over. So I was like changing. Then like, okay, like I feel like my mechanics have cleaned up. Like I was specifically saying, like all of a sudden I have this problem of throwing my mids too far. So then I'm just going to switch to throwing like more stable stuff. And that's why I was asking you questions about like, well, what makes you then throw to the right with something more stable, and then like hitting an angle of putting it up in the air, and like, you know, instead of throwing a hyzer flip and having it come over, go right, and then fade left, something out of your hand that's more stable and just put it to the right. It's like a different approach, you know what I mean, in a different kind of way.
There's definitely more control in that. Like if you know you're throwing something that's going to come out of it, now it's just how much angle do you need to put on it to get X amount of flight out of it for it to like come back. And that there's a specific spot where I learned more of that, and it was again with Jared out at Glassblown, I think like 2014, 15, somewhere right there. And there's a hole out there that I was playing significantly differently than anyone else, and I was just like, I don't know why. And it wasn't until like after the tournament, I think we were playing like an extra round or something like that, and it was explained like you can just distance control easier. Like this is a hole that I don't even want to guess what number, but it was in Emporia. It was on Jones East or West, one of the two, either way. So the hole's probably like 360 or so, slightly downhill, and the only gap you have to hit is immediately off the tee. So like you should hit it 10 out of 10 times realistically. And then there's like one lone tree like way off to the left, so like you shouldn't be hitting that for like right hand, backhand, and so it's slightly downhill, and then where the basket is, and then probably 60 feet short of that, it like there's a drop off, so it's like tee pad, and then it slopes downhill, then it goes down and then flat again. So and then behind that there's like a tree line, and for me I was like, I'll throw a mid-range or like even putter if there's like a good wind, because like I can throw that very comfortably straight at that thing. The thing that came into play was the tree line behind it, because now I'm throwing a disc that's going straight, but I can't really distance control so much, because it's like if I'm giving it less power, then it's coming up shorter.
Right.
And
if there's
it's
any
not
wind,
like,
if there's any
and
wind, a flat
it's a
shot.
really weird thing. So, I'm watching like Jared, Nico, Paul, Ricky, and there's like a handful of other guys, and they're all throwing basically just Firebirds at this hole. And I'm like, why the fuck are these guys throwing Firebird? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. I mean, there's a rhyme and reason to it. And the reason is distance control, flex shot.
Yeah.
So now it's like I can throw a Firebird 375, like not straight, but you're putting it on this angle and you're banking on the fact like it just is going to come out of that.
Yeah.
So if I'm throwing it out to the right of the basket, 80 feet on this angle, it's fighting out of my hand. And then as soon as it starts coming back, it's coming this way to the basket, which is away from, or not even close to going at the tree line, instead of like the initial shot going outwards, instead of mid-range putter, which is like I'm throwing straight at the basket. And if I like juice it, it's going straight into the woods behind it.
Yep.
So that was like something where it's like, okay, like this makes a lot of sense why they're doing it and whatever. So I started like incorporating that where it made sense. And like I tried it there and it's like first throw, I was like, all right, like got it.
I get it.
Which I knew before. So
right.
And then if you're trying to do that with like the same shot and you're trying to throw like Roadrunner, like sure you could do it with a Roadrunner, but the touch and everything that comes into it is like if you're able to do that every time with a Roadrunner versus somebody who's doing it with a Firebird, like the most impressive is the guy doing it with a Roadrunner.
Right. But it all scores the same.
It all scores the same for sure.
Right.
But the likelihood that guy is doing it with a Roadrunner every time is very low, I would imagine, because it's like it's so flippy. And yes, you can get the shot out of it, but
why?
Yeah.
Why take the risk?
Yeah, it's a lot to do with it. So
yeah. So for me, I feel like at this point, like I just started subbing in some other stuff in terms of like mentally of instead of throwing this shot, because I feel like I've cleaned up my mechanics a good amount and I feel good about it. I don't feel good about the fact that I've recently gotten apprehensive about throwing the shot.
Yeah.
So whatever I'm getting from throwing understable or whatever I've been getting from like cleaning my form up, I'm now losing in my overall game because I'm now nervous to throw. Mm-hmm. And specifically like my body feels good. So I'm trying to work on like throwing the shot, like incorporating more and more of my body into my throw as the year goes on so I can like build up what I feel like.
Do you ever like what was it? I did it recently at Spindler. Like I had the same problem, like being apprehensive of like throwing whatever.
Yeah.
And I had a good pointer from the guy who taught me how to play it, and it was just like just overdo it.
Yeah.
Overdo the shot, like go way past it
or
whatever. And it more times than not, like as soon as I start noticing I'm getting apprehensive about like, well, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to turn too much, I don't want to be too left, I don't want to be too short, and yada yada yada. It's like just fucking do it, like overdo it, just do it.
Right.
That's fine, because then it's like it more times than not it ends up being overdone. But it's like you throw the shot that you want to throw, and then you just like hone it in like real fast.
Right.
Instead of just like, well, all these what ifs and this and that, whatever.
And
so
it's so frustrating. It's funny that we brought up that I brought up like playing ball golf yesterday. Mm-hmm. But in ball golf, I specifically like I'm going for it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm out there with like a lack of skill. I haven't played in a year. I don't have any touch, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna miss short, or if I'm gonna like end up like taking a stroke because you ran something and it went by it too far, versus like we were talking about last time, your doubles where you're at Indy and like you do the short putt, and I just feel like if you do that layup putt and then you still end up getting a 5 somehow, you know what I mean, or like you know what I mean, like then after the layup you end up throwing it into the swamp anyways, like that feeling's awful as opposed to like standing there and being like fuck it, I'm going for it, and then if you end up in the swamp, whatever, you're like, well, I went for it. Yeah. So specifically when I was playing ball golf yesterday, like I got nothing to prove, I got nothing to lose. So every shot, like punch shot underneath this pine tree from like, I don't know, 149 out with like super low ceiling. It had to be a punch, and I had to like slice it over to the green. Mm-hmm. And the guy's like, the guy that I was playing with that wasn't with us, like you get teamed up with or paired up with people, and he was like, blah, blah, this and that. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to fucking miss a layup. I'd rather miss going for it. So I'm like, I'm going for this. And totally played it out and rolled it up the green. And I was like, like, you know, it made me feel good. And then it really like kind of brought to my mind of like, that's how I want to start playing disc golf again. Yeah. So I need to adjust a little bit of like adding more stability to the disc that I'm throwing and all that. And I feel like I have a full range of Discraft stuff, that I can like sub this one out, put this one in or whatever, and just start playing more of a risk to reward game versus playing to work on my form.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which I'm super excited about because I'm kind of worn out playing for my form so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like going out and like, I know the shot that's the easy shot, and I know the shot that's the comfortable shot, and literally making the decision of like, no, I'm going to throw this really touchy shot.
Yeah.
Just to force myself in a situation where it matters to really concentrate on like doing this cleanly, and then not doing it cleanly, and watching my disc go way the fuck over there. And being like, oh, I could have just thrown a hyzer.
Stop looking at me.
Don't judge me. I knew it was a fucked up shot. Yeah, but so in like just going back, like in building my bag, I do it. I do like understable, neutral to stable, stable, overstable, depending on each thing, and then I do it all at different speeds.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I have like a putt and approach that's like relatively flippy, one that flies pretty much dead straight that it'll just fade to the right a little bit, one that's stable, and then like a zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then for my mids, I have Buzz SS, Buzz Wasp, Buzz OS. And then when you go to like fairway drivers, I think when I moved to Discraft, I kind of melded a little bit because I used to have like basically 7 or 8 speed of all of those, and then like 9 speed of all of those, and then like 11 and then beyond.
Right.
And I feel like moving to Discraft, there really isn't a 7 speed setup, 8 speed setup of like understable state. So I just kind of like melted it together.
Mm-hmm.
Also getting more snap on my discs, I can make it do more, so I don't have to have so many discs.
Right.
But yeah, my bag I just kind of build, very much like putt and approach, mid, some kind of fairway-ish driver, some kind of distance driver, and then like full on, I have open space, like get there, and then a couple of utility discs. Like I have a machete. I don't know where that would fall into things. It's always on like the end of the set. Like,
funsy disc. Like I have a machete in my bag, and that's a funsy disc.
Yeah.
Like that is the most utility of utility like ever. Let me check the camera real quick. I just heard a ding.
Are we done?
I don't know. We're back again.
Tight. This is the most complicated.
Killed that battery.
Most complicated podcast.
No, this is fun. I like this one. This is a good one.
So so the machetes are like the funsy get out of trouble disc. And so that's always like at the end of the set, like just there, because if it gets dirty and dusty and whatever, like I don't really use it that much. And I know when I'm reaching over there, we're at compromised expectations already. And I'm like, go all the way to the end.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Don't look.
Right. Don't judge me on this. So when you put your set together and when you're playing with what you're playing, like I know that you also like rotate stuff in and out, like not anywhere near as much as I do, but I know that you switch molds and you do stuff like that. So how, like, intellectually when you're putting a set together, like how do you build it in your mind?
It's pretty easy. And I've told Dan and Kyle this as well, when they're like, Kyle specifically recently like redid his bag, and he was like, well, what should I do? What should I have? Whatever. And it's like, I don't know specifically what you like and how things work for you, but things that are stable, like straight stable, overstable, understable. Do it for all variations of whatever. So you have like putting putters are separate.
Right.
Have your like throwing putters. You have one understable, stable, overstable, mid-range same, fairway same, distance driver same.
Yeah.
And then just start from there. And he's recently figured out the things that he really likes. So I know like what is it? He's got a harp that he really likes for overstable. For his straight, I got them into Optomercies. Optomercies, I think, are like highly underrated. I absolutely love them. And then like Retro Mercies that are like straight to understable. Mid ranges, I forget what he throws. Like I know they throw pines and whatever. Basically like a slightly faster buzz type esque deal. Like there's so many like replicas of everything now.
Right.
Like, you can just build stuff however. And then he's got Explorers and Mavericks, I think, for like the stable, overstable, and then like Adi, which is a Firebird for overstable fairway utility / disc or whatever, and then Ballista Pros. Like he's got just variations of them. So when I build my bag and the X amount of years that I've been playing now, I can just look at stuff and just recognize what, like 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to be right at what this disc is just going to do, or be really close to what it's going to do.
Yeah, which is, I've seen you do it, and it's crazy to me.
Yeah. So
like you look at it, you're like, oh yeah, this is gonna be blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, whatever, jackass.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I throw it, and I'm like,
God,
this fucking guy.
Yeah. But yeah, and it's. I mean, now, like, it might not be as simple as I think it is, but like realistically, like looking at X disc, and I'm looking for, like, in my mind, I'm building destroyers for my distance drivers. I'm building T-birds for my fairways. I'm building rock/buzz for my buzzes for mid ranges.
Yeah.
And then,
for my rock, I throw a rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like any variation. So like when I say like D1, D2, PD2, like to me, those are variations of destroyers.
Right.
PD2s are the most different hand feel because they are very, not similar. I can't think of the word I was trying to think of, but either way, it's still that fast, overstable disc, and looking for dome in it, because dome is going to create extra glide for you. And again, like, I'm a huge proponent to numbers are fucking retarded.
Yeah.
I hate them. Other than speed, everything else doesn't matter, because unless you're building a flat disc, you're just going to have variation.
Yeah.
Because why else would other people have just like, well, I got my Ricky destroyers, my Paul destroyers, Avery, this, that, whatever, and you can have like flat domey, like T-Devil topped, whatever, and it's like, these aren't all destroyers. Like, it says they are, but go throw them all the same way. Do they all fly the same? No. Because I've done it before. Like, it just happens. So you learn to know what to look for. So you start seeing the ones that you really like looking at. You see the bottom flight plate, how that's shaped, the nose, where it's angled, like if it's up more, down more, like whatever. And then it's how's the dome. Like, that's probably the first thing I'd look at. So like wide rim disc, I have those D2s. It has dome to it. Fucking awesome.
Right.
Now, what's the nose look like? Is the nose pulled down? Because if the nose is pulled down, it's going to be less stable. It's going to be more apt to roll like into the ground, versus nose pulled up is going to make it more stable, overstable. And then you just kind of go from there, and you're just essentially guessing.
Yeah.
But it's like pretty accurate guesses at these. And then it just takes throwing it. Because like I have those 3 D2s, and like there's variance for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the difference is between orange and yellow, because they look the same, don't fly the same.
Right.
Like, they both, since they're both domey, like they both have glide, like significant amounts of it. But I don't know, like at a micro level, like at a period in time, it's like Fred and I were talking. He was in touch with somebody like molding discs. It might have been one of the guys from MVP. And it's like, yeah, we change like discs, and they like, there's drastic changes within like millimeters of just differences in discs. So maybe that's just all it really is. I can't say for certain, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Like if that's all it is, because to the naked eye, to me, like they look exactly the same. There's obviously something different.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. So again, it just,
some of it can come down to just like cooling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like how it cools.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what it is, but yeah, like I've gotten pretty good at just being able to guess at like being well within the ballpark of just what the disc is going to do. There's been a few times where I've thrown it and it's like, that didn't do anything at all what I was thinking it was going to do. Like Marty at Firefighters had Halloween katanas. They were like the most pop top discs like ever at one point in time. It's like, this might be fucking badass. And I threw it on 3, like on a slight hyzer, and it just like went and became a roller immediately.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I was wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and secretly, like their bomber disc, like Girthy, I know, loves pop top katanas, and perfect. He mashes those things into oblivion.
Yeah.
But so like when I build my bag, I don't really look like, if I'm looking for stuff like that, those are really only getting thrown at like very specific types of shots, or really funky, like let's just try it and see what happens types lines, because it's not like, it might be consistent in the sense of like I'm throwing a hyzer flip on like this crazy angle, or like I'm throwing like one of those Skamahawk things, and which I've like never really thrown unless it's like just for fun. But realistically, wide open, like tailwind, like that's it, because tailwind makes discs more stable than they actually are. So in somewhere like that, I can trust that I throw this thing flat and hammer on it, that it's like, it'll turn a little bit, but not do what it normally does. Yeah.
Bye.
So even still, like I try to have a multitude of drivers that are in that nice, stable, overstable area, and then have a couple iterations that are the flippy versions, because at least with like, even if I were throwing PD2s all the time, like I know I can get them to go places. It's not like unusable for me, but I know that at some point when they slow down, they're just going to go left. I know if I throw them on a big turn, like they're going to fight and not give up or anything like that. So I like to have a handful of those, have a couple like flippy ones, and then same with fairways. But I like throwing fairways that are mid-range-esque. So like the FD, I've recently come in terms of like, I love you so much. And
what's the speed on the FD?
7, 8. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't normally do this, but I think it's somewhere right there. Like I don't think it's past 9. It's not very wide rim or anything like that, but it's not like super shallow. It's we were comparing it to an Undertaker earlier, so it's very
probably like a 9.
Yeah. So either way, like that's something that I can just do. It's a do all disc. So if you want to throw an Anheuser, you can. It's just you got to be able to hit it. If you want to throw it flat, it will stay flat, and there's like a little fluctuation like left and right. And then if you want to throw hyzer with it, you just throw it on hyzer, and it doesn't stand up and right. It doesn't dump out left. It's like, to me, like a really perfect any all-around fairway disc, unless you're looking for like your Firebird. So that's like a TL if you want to put it in like Innova terms or something. Yeah. So that has recently become just my T-Bird. Yeah. And I love it. And I have 3 iterations of it, or 2 rather. So I got like the normal brand new out of the box, and I have the yellow one that's just like, it's a little flatter, so it is like a little flippier. I got it used, so X amount of throws. The dude that had it before me Sharpied in like all the numbers on the bottom, and literally as I saw it, like I scoffed at it. I was like seriously, somebody, of course somebody would just put this on there, I guess, because like I don't care and whatever. I mean, you guys do your thing. If you're all about numbers, then
he wrote the flight numbers.
Yeah. So
with
at Bald Mountain, Swamp Mike came up, had like all these discs. Yeah. And then I looked under. It's like his name, and I thought it was Damon Pugh because the last name was Pugh. And I was like, why did Damon Pugh write all the numbers down here? Because like his discs don't do that. He just like throws stuff everywhere, and he's like pretty good at discs. Right. So yeah, it's his name here, and then he wrote like 9 something. I don't know, whatever. And it's like, whatever. It's a FD. Like, just throw it. Learn what it does, and then like that's just, those are your numbers. You know what it does. Throw it on a hyzer, throw it flat, throw it Anheuser, throw it all 3 of those ways. Throw it like soft and like really hard, and see like just what it does. Like that's how I learned from some random guy at Zilker that I played with a lot.
Yeah, that's been the thing with switching the bag up that I really realized this year, is because even before, when I fluctuate molds, I know all of the molds.
Yeah.
This year's the first time that I've ever competed with discs since I was like just starting to play, that like I don't know this mold.
Yeah.
And like they don't transfer. Like just because it flies like that mold flies at full speed does not mean that it flies the way that mold flies at low speed.
Yeah. You
know what I mean? So like if I hammer on this, it flies exactly like that disc. If I don't quite hammer on it, it does not fly exactly like the same disc.
Yeah. So and I've been fortunate to throw a lot of discs, maybe against a lot of people's will, like
mine,
everybody else, yours, Scott's, Jared's, Fred's, Dan, Kyle, Sean, like everybody,
Southeast
so
Michigan.
many. Like I mean, I've known to just like, I'll go in there and I'll like grab the disc.
Yeah, I'll go in
and then
there.
As I'm ready to throw, it's like, is it cool if I throw it? And it's like, do I even really have a choice? Like, no, here we go. Like I've already thrown it. And that's also just like an actual curiosity as to like how it actually flies. Like I'm not just being a dickhead.
Right.
And like if I were to lose it or something, like I'll try my damnedest to find it, or I'll just replace it for you.
Right.
But having done that, like I've thrown probably like every disc ish to some nth degree or whatever. And that's helped me figure out like what discs do, because like as I pick it out of the bag, it's like, this looks interesting, can I throw it, type thing, because like I have a memory now of what this disc looked like and what it did, and now like for future use, it's like, let's try another one, it looks like this, does it do the same as like that one, or does it do different, or or what, or here's another one that looks ish the same, but it's flatter or it's domier, and then you go from there. And it's like so many times of that it's like I found out just like what discs I like the shape of and what discs I for sure don't like the shape of, and so on and so forth. So
it's still weird to me though that like all the factors that go into how a disc flies. You know what I mean? Like I can have some molds and Domi makes them more stable and Domi makes them less stable.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like you're talking about that katana, like that pop top katana.
yeah,
If you had a destroyer that was a pop top destroyer, odds are things probably pretty stable.
yeah,
The katana, because I had like when I laughed when you were talking about those katanas, because I had these like Echo Star
mm-hmm.
katanas that were kind of pop top,
yeah,
and they would just fucking bomb, but they were
Yeah.
flippy. Like
Yeah.
you had to like really crank down on a hyzer,
mm-hmm.
and they would just go forever. They had a ton of glide, but they were like understable. And it was the same thing when I bought them. I was thinking like Echo Star is going to make them less stable. The
Mhm.
dome's going to make them more stable. Like this is going to be the best of both worlds because they have a bunch of glide. And then I did the same thing. I threw it and it went like, whoosh,
yeah.
and I was like, oh, that's
I would
weird.
also like to point out and take this time to mention that stamps mean jack shit when coming to how a disc flies.
Yeah.
So like I know that there's a huge community of people that will just spend X amount of money on discs because of they won't admit to they're buying a stamp, but they're literally
Right.
just buying a stamp. Like please like pay attention to what the disc looks like
Yeah.
and like the shape of it, because the stamp doesn't matter. So like when I know I mentioned like Ricky and Avery and Paul destroyers, like they're all the same.
Yeah.
They're using the same mold of destroyer. Like when Ricky got his destroyer, like I can't say 100%, but I can say like with very like stern certainty to some degree that it's like they're not making him a brand new destroyer mold,
Right.
because at that point, is it really a destroyer? Like it's they're just like they're making them and they have all these blanks. Like I've been at least to the dynamic warehouse. They have two sides. Like if this was like one side, this table is one side and that table is one side. This table's all stamped and that table's all unstamped. And then they go over there to fill their order. They grab all the blanks. What's it getting stamped with? And they stamp it and it's the same. So like you have one stack that's all ran at the same time.
Yeah.
Like
With
one
different
could be,
stamps.
yeah, and like
Right.
one could just be Ricky stamped and the other could be Dave stamped,
Right.
or whatever. And it's like, well, I love my Ricky ones because, like Ricky like fan, and like
Right.
Dave ones suck because Dave sucks.
Yeah.
And it's like, no,
No.
you're buying a stamp and you just think one's better just because like you're fanboying or like whatever it is.
Right.
So like, and that falls into like the scratchies. Like there's a huge community of like 4 times scratchy zones, 5 times scratchy zones, or like just regular Paul zones with no scratchies that are, I don't even remember like what all the differences are. And I'm glad that some pros are actually going in there and just being like, I don't know what you guys are doing. I just like throwing discs.
Yeah.
Because realistically, a zone's a zone. And like maybe certain runs do feel better than others, but even still, like you have a run of zones that is all that are all made on June 15th, 2019, and half of them got stamped with 4 scratchies and half of them got stamped with 5 scratchies. You can't tell me that one's better than the other because of scratchies, because
Yeah.
they're literally the same disc.
But
So,
I think as time goes on, the farther that you get dedicated in like being a great disc golfer,
Mm-hmm.
you're really centered around like your performance.
Yeah.
I think there's a move to using discs that do what you want them to do and trying in some way to figure out like how to do it economically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like definitely
Yeah.
the better that I've gotten at disc golf, the less I fucking care about the disc.
Yeah.
Like I need to find that disc that's going to do what I want.
Mm-hmm.
But like I don't care what that disc is.
Yeah.
Like I want to find a disc and then I want to find 3 of its brothers.
Yeah.
They're going to all fly the same. And
Yeah.
some
Because I need
mold-
the shot. I don't need, well, I need the disc, but
Right, I need
I
to be able
don't,
to
yeah.
the whole 5. I
Yeah.
need to be able to look at this line and know that's the disc that's going to do this line.
Mhm.
And there's specific discs that I know are going to do this and do that. And then you find that disc and like, cool, I'm going to commit to this mold. I'm going to get a few backups and we'll be good. This one's a little bit more stable. That one's a little bit less stable. I think with some discs, strictly more on like a utility side or more on a like real specific side, you get into like, okay, that makes sense in
Mhm.
terms of like you have the Z Flex machete, which is super stable.
Yeah.
And so like if you were ever going to get another machete for your like utility disc, like if all of a sudden Z Flex machetes stopped getting made,
Mm-hmm.
you would probably be willing to like hunt down another one and do that. but it's because it's the only disc that does that.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think like for some people in their minds, there are those discs. Like when I used to throw gators, I have like one gator that's like super stable. And that was my utility disc in that like speed range or whatever. And I bought so many other gators trying to find one that was like that same stability. And I have one that's like kind of close. But then like that one, I just would never want to lose.
Yeah.
So I just like guard it with my life.
Yeah.
But then it made me not want to throw it.
Yeah.
But as I got better, I figured out like, well, I'd rather throw the one that's not super fucking crazy stable because I have 6 other ones that fly almost the same as that one. It's easier to practice with those. And then I'm also like much more confident when I'm throwing it out on the course because I'm not thinking like, what am I going to do if this is gone? You know?
Yeah. And now, like, I know of the gator in which you speak.
Yeah.
Now you could just go by 5 justices, anvils, A2s.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Then the justice came out. And I remember when I like first threw a justice, I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
I could lose these all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could lose these all day and replace them like on the internet at home.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Easily.
Yeah. And I think as like, that's like the funnier thing to me. And when you're talking about it, I know that you come at it from like a specific thought process of things that drive you crazy. But for me, I just look at like, how am I going to build a little collection of these that I can practice with for as cheap as possible? And how am I going to be in a situation that like every time I'm going to throw the shot, I'm going to be confident to throw that disc and know sometimes it's going to go wrong and this thing's going to shoot off into the middle of a swamp.
Yeah.
There's no way around it, right?
Yeah.
Like if you play enough rounds, you're going to throw a disc and it's going to clip a weird tree and not touch another thing and like hit the fucking water.
Like, and then you go and look at where your disc went
Yeah.
from the tree you hit and you're like, where's the gap?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But then I just want to be able to like throw that shot confidently and know even if I lose this disc, I got another one.
Oh yeah.
Or I can get another one like reasonably fast and effective. And so like I don't get it. Like I don't understand that stuff of like I'm throwing $50 discs. I'm throwing $40 discs. And if
they're like bedazzling their bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just like at some level I would be apprehensive. I mean, unless I was like a millionaire, which I'm not. We're filming this in a basement, not in a studio, right? Like,
also, we're talking about disc golf.
Yeah. Also, the cash and prizes haven't come in yet. Gabby did, but nothing else. But you know, like I just want to throw the discs that I don't have to worry about, and then I'm like, like I have some like obviously when I get an ace, I retire it. I have its brother ready to go. Next man up. Let's go. I don't want to lose it because now like its sentimental value to me is a lot. And I don't want to keep it in my bag because I don't want to be apprehensive about losing it. Yeah. So I instantly replace it.
Yep.
Like I just take it out. It goes over there in the Red Wing bag. And then I move on.
Yeah. And I feel like the only disc that I like, so if you're going to be that person, like, if you're going to spend a lot to like become a better disc golfer in like that mindset.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Putters. You're not going to lose them.
Yes.
Yeah, you're not going to lose them.
They're your putting putters. And I mean, I also believe like I don't drive or really throw my putting putters. The farthest it is like an upshot from like 100 feet or something like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's like, I feel comfortable with this and I'm not really going to lose it. And my bag's too far away just to go get another disc that's just going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to hit something, whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's clearly the most valuable thing in your game is you have to, I don't care if you throw 1,000
they'll make
feet.
you the money. They'll make you the money back.
Yeah. Exactly. So if you're going to find something, like if you're going to spend $50 on a disc, like you're infatuated with first run daggers, like $50 a pop. At least that's what it was the last time. Yeah. Go spend a few $100s on them and like get your 2, 3 that you like to putt with and then have some backups for like those random chances where it's like you run a putt and there's water OB and it rolls OB. Shout out Scott because he lost a black first run dagger to it and he was like all sad, but like he still has like a handful of them left or whatever. But
or your memorial and you run one of those peninsulas and it just scoots off the back, goes 50 feet into the water and you got to play the rest of the round without it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I mean, shit happens, but like at least you have backups.
Right.
So
yeah. I'm a big believer in that too. If you're going to spend money on something, the putter.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, I think that this was I had a great time today.
Yeah,
I
me
think
too.
We're never going to do that shot again because that was.
I like that one more than the last one.
Did you?
Yeah.
I feel like
I didn't. Did you get all hot and sweaty like I did?
I feel like it was too much. No, I
Really?
didn't. But like my head for a minute there, I was like, dude, am I going to have a stroke? Like, I don't know exactly what happened, but I'm glad that you were doing a lot of the heavy lifting early on because I was like, whoa.
Dude, I got you.
This is too much.
This is fun.
But yeah, I had a blast, man. I look forward to doing it again.
Thanks,
and,
everyone.
Next time we do it, you'll have already played D-Glow.
Yes.
So we'll see how all this strategy played out.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, great, man.
Hell yeah.
Later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.